Some would say OMI is dead, and they are crazy, or just new to this space, or just emotionally hurt for one reason or another. There is no reasonable reason to believe that. The delays in taking forever long for development, they've been fixed, and the improvements are coming rapidly and steadily. Still, everyone does want to know, when OMI boom? Well, let's look for a minute at something that is laying a solid foundation for the coming bull market. And even though it is an OMI, it will have a huge impact on the OMI boom. XRP is massively in the news. The current smackdown delivered by a U.S. judge against the United States Securities and Exchange Commission may pave the way for the regulatory clarity in the U.S. that has been badly needed for 4 years. And as many people start to look at and discover XRP, that is a great thing. Though I think XRP might even be something that can do well. But what if I told you that most people I know, including myself, that got stupid rich to the tune of millions of dollars, didn't do it by chasing what was already running? XRP is setting up to likely boom in the coming weeks and months, and if that happens, new people will flood in the space. I mean, imagine if XRP goes to $3. That will do a lot of things for more people paying attention. And from here, that's what, 4x, 5x, which is pretty dang good. That brings me to my next point. While all that is happening, it makes my mind go to what isn't in the spotlight yet, but I can't see a single reason why at some point in the near future, why it won't be one of the most discussed tokens in the world for a while. You see, as humans, we are wired to chase what is already moving. As investors, we retrain our mind to find undervalued tokens, set our buys in at low levels, and wait till the right action happens on them. What is the project that is screaming so loud at me as a 20-plus year investing veteran? Economi's token, OMI. The XRP ruling is a good thing for most altcoins and very good for OMI. It makes the case that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission wants to make, saying that every altcoin is a security, makes that a completely uphill battle and provides even more clarity that Economi's OMI token is even less likely to be deemed a security by anyone but the U.S. SEC, which would like to deem every altcoin a security. But Rain, OMI's token hasn't been moving up for a very long time. My response to that is, exactly, it hasn't. Yet the fundamentals behind it almost couldn't even be stronger. Now, do you like to buy something when it's expensive or before it's expensive? Do you like to buy cheap, or do you like to buy after a 5x has suddenly happened? Well, today we're joined by someone who gets it, by someone who has used this downtime to accumulate to levels that my guess is make him tens of millions of dollars in the coming run with his OMI token holdings alone. He frequently can be seen at events, meeting the wealthy and educating them on OMI and their Vivi app, which has many of the best and biggest brands on their app, selling first appearance collectibles of Batman, Superman, Disney, the list goes on. And Economy recently made a deal with Alibaba, one of the largest companies in the world. This is a gem that few are looking at right now, and all will regret not taking it more seriously. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. If you're looking for crypto news that doesn't have context, if you're looking for panic selling, if you're looking for FOMOing in, which most of the channels talk about, you can find that in lots of other places, but not here. If you, like me, came to crypto because you realize the potential for life-changing gains over a 4 to 8 year period and are looking for discussions on becoming a solid, unshakable crypto investor, you're in exactly the right place and the right family, the Rainmaker family. So, I did just recently release a course called Zero to Crypto Hero. Did you know that 95% of people in crypto don't even become rich through crypto? So, I created this course because this is what myself and my friends did that went from not rich at all. In fact, I was absolutely broke when I started investing in crypto, to millions of dollars in just one cycle. So you might think, oh, this course is expensive. Not going through this course is expensive. Though with that, do note, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself. And our guest, Randy, is a crypto investor himself. With that said, if you haven't already, make it rain on that like button. Strap in for the show because our guest is absolutely phenomenal. Help me welcome Randy to the channel.
Why,
Randy,
hello, everyone. How you doing?
Fantastic. So good to have you joining us.
Always good to be here. I feel like we didn't do a stream for like a year, and then we did two in like 2 months, which I'm no complaints. We'll do this all the time. I love this. Thank you for having me.
Every month or two would be about right. I love our discussions, and it's easy to let our discussions go forever. Why? Because it doesn't feel like work. It's pure pleasure.
Exactly. Yeah. There was something I want to bring up in the blurb you had in the beginning when we were talking about XRP. I didn't know exactly where you wanted to go, but this is one of the most recent news. We could do live streams every week and never run out of things to talk about because news happens so quickly in this. There's so much stuff to talk about. Yeah. One of the comparisons I had seen between OMI and XRP was everybody was saying, oh, XRP had done like a 70% gain in like, in like 24 hours. And there's like, oh, and that was a big lawsuit win. What chance does OMI have of going, 500% if they don't have like this big lawsuit that they're fighting, if they just have, some exchanges? 70% on something that already had a 20-something million dollar market cap. They had added, I think, over 15 billion to their market cap in one, in like a 12-hour period. At some point, it was over 20 billion. If OMI does 1/10 of that, that's a 10x just from that. And we don't have near the amount of exchanges that they do yet. We don't have near the amount of users that they do yet. A lot of sleeping giants, as you saw. But that's just kind of something I wanted to see. If you just go by the numbers and don't pay attention to market cap, you will make some wrong decisions.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of people want to wait till things are on all these big exchanges. And I get that. When I was newer to crypto, I lost some massive gains by waiting for that. So I learned that lesson the hard way. I bought Axie Infinity when it was on no exchanges. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody knew what it was. And anybody I talked about it like their eyes glazed over and they thought it was some kind of scam. What? Land on the blockchain that makes no sense. What are you talking about? A video game on the blockchain? Who needs a video game on a blockchain? Oh, okay. So they have land and you get some little cutesy items. What could that ever be worth? Well, it did go 3,000x. So what can it be worth, right? So I sold at 100x. Had I held a little bit farther, instead of making $400,000, I would have made 12 million. We are in a space that's even possible. Stocks, that's not possible. Was that one of the better gainers this last bear market? It was, from the bear market to the bull run. That wasn't even, I didn't even buy at the bottom. I bought when it launched. It went down by like 70%. So had I bought then, Nelly, yeah.
So there's when you mentioned that, this type of gains don't really exist in the stock market. Maybe in 2020, you bought in like March, April when everything went down, and then you had that K-shaped recovery. You can maybe do something there. But for the most part, people that don't know how to invest, they go into the SPY, the VOO, something that represents the S&P 500. They get anywhere between 9 and 11% each year, and do that for 40 years. Most average people that don't know anything about investing can become a millionaire, but they've never invested into crypto. Most people barely know what it is. They hear it on the news. You have Fidelity right now. You have a bunch of places. Hey, Bill Gardner. You have a bunch of places that are going and doing these IRA rollovers where they're able to take a certain amount tax-free from their IRA and putting it into cryptos, where they buy Bitcoin, they buy Ethereum. And older people that tend to have a little more patience, they're not going to touch that. That's their IRA, that's their retirement. When they go and they see in 2 years, they do a 5x, and this is just with Bitcoin and Ethereum. This isn't anything crazy like altcoin plays. When they do that, they're going to tell everyone and their friends, everyone and their sister, everyone's going to know about it. because nothing like that has ever happened to them before. And slowly but surely, people will go, like you say, chase those green candles. And these are just like the deemed safe coins, the alt ones that have much more upside. This could be a very big bull run. I'm very excited about that. What are your thoughts?
It's setting up like, so I remember 2020, and we had this massive dip because of COVID when all the businesses were shut down in the forced lockdowns, and people didn't know what would happen. And the thing was, well, we got to save the population. So to F with the economy, shut everything down. And all the stocks fell off a cliff, crypto fell off a cliff. And then it bounced up some. So Bitcoin went from 9,000 to 7,000 to 5,000 to 3,800, then back up to 5,000, was bouncing around there. I told everyone I knew, okay, now that we just had that, the anchor is in, the stake is in, this is going to run massively. And about 2 people listened to me. Nobody with serious money listened to me. I did make some friends in the coming months that were like me, stocking up on as much as they could. I was working as much extra time as I could, making as much extra money as I could, cut my expenses as low as I could, because I knew this was a chance to dig out of the financial devastation that I went through from a raging divorce prior that left me worth negative $380 something thousand. And I had been waiting for this moment for my whole life, and I had been investing for a long time. When I got divorced, it was on top of the real estate market crash, which the crash took half my wealth. The divorce took the other half and then some. And I was worth not even zero. I was jealous, people that were worth zero. But I saw crypto and I was like, this is going to be amazing. And I'm going to put everything I can into this. And it was set up just like this, where you could just, so most people couldn't feel it because they hadn't been investing for 20 years. I had been investing for 20 years. I had learned about the cycles. This is something I'm really good at, pattern recognition. And I could just feel it like, oh my gosh, like when you put your ear to the train and you can hear the train and you know it's coming, you just don't know exactly when, but you know it's on its way. And that train is carrying all kinds of gold. And I was just loading up as fast as I could. I didn't care that nobody listened to me. I didn't care that nobody paid attention. I didn't have the YouTube channel yet. I can't say nobody. There were a few people that jumped in with me. And my friend put about 5,000 in. It went about, he took conservative bets. It went to about 60, 70,000 within, even though he got scared and then he sold it all to stable coins, till everything 5 decks, and then he jumped back in and he still went to like 60 or 70,000 from 5,000. And yeah, it went crazy. I was buying Cardano, which at the time had a lot of similarities what Ecomi's been going through, a lot of FUD related to it. So I categorize what Ecomi's been going through the last year to what Cardano went through in 2020. And the majority of influencers were FUDding on Cardano that would never have a successful takeoff. It didn't have a mainnet live. It didn't even have a test net live. And so the token had no utility. And that was said all the time, just like we've already seen this chat. But at least the person who said that in this chat said that he's been buying it. Smart guy. No utility yet. It doesn't. But let me ask you, when you're investing and there's a road that goes and it's dirt, do you want to buy the real estate then, or do you want to wait till it's all paved, the street lights are in, the stores are going in, and it's completely clear what's happening there?
You want to buy the dirt.
You want to buy it when it's dirt. But the road's not even paved. Sometimes the road isn't even cut in, but you can look at the planning map and see that that's where the road is going to go. Because once the road is in and the road is paved, what you pay for that land is 5 to 10 to 20 times the price. And so what people want is, a lot of people who don't understand the game, they want to be able to get today's prices when the future events happen that give them some feeling of a guarantee. And so what they want doesn't exist. I mean, I want a unicorn that can fly too and can take me through time and space. That's cool that I want that. Is it ever going to happen? No. And it's cool what they want. It just is never going to happen, but it's cool to want that. what investing is having some vision, doing some research and saying, okay, I don't know for sure that this is going this way. I'm going to look at the pros and cons. I'm going to weigh them. How likely is this to succeed? What positioning does it have in the niche that they're in? Can it come together right? What are the risks that it doesn't come together? Okay, there's a whole bunch of people poo-pooing on the idea and that it's taken so long and that there's no token use case yet, but do they have a plan for a token use case? Are they rolling out things to that token use case? And in fact, the road is getting paved. It's just way down there still. Well, great. That means your time is getting short, because the closer that road gets to where that land is, it's going to go up before then. So a lot of people have this idea. They want to buy, they know intuitively to buy cheap and sell high. But what they do is they buy really high, hoping it's going to go higher, because buying really high gives them the confirmation that everybody else around them is doing it. So they're like, oh, okay, this is the thing. And then what often happens is they're buying it somewhere near the end and they don't get out of it. And so even if they do make a gain in the short term, they don't take profits out of it, because maybe it's only 2x and they're hoping it will do another 100x after it had already done 100x. And it reverses on them. And then they're crying about how crypto doesn't work. And it does. But if you do the wrong things, I guarantee you the wrong damn results. And don't be shocked. That is why I created the crypto course I did. And people say, but Rain, it's so expensive. It is. It's way expensive to not take. It'll absolutely break you if you don't take it. Why? I'm telling you, in 2017, I was a little bit naive. I was like, everybody gets it. This is amazing. Everyone's going to be rich because they're all in the right place at the right time, but they were taking the wrong damn actions. And so they all ended up losing the money that they put in and leaving the space, except for about 3 to 5% of us. And I was like, what the hell happened? And over time, I pieced it together, talking to some people that I'd known that were in the space that weren't showing up anymore. And they're like, oh, I'm down 95% and da-da-da. I was like, prices are cheap now. Why aren't you buying it? Oh, it's just life's too important and all this other stuff going on. And I'm going to probably have a baby in 2 years with my girlfriend and just like excuse after excuse. And I was like, okay, I've waited for this window I'm trying to decrease the cursing, although, a few of them is okay. I've waited for this my whole life. I want to say some more adjectives there. And I'm so excited. And at the time in 2000, the bear market of 2018 through 2020, it was a thesis to me that, okay, I'm going to buy during the bear market. I saw that in real estate and the cycles, and you buy when it's cheap and you wait till it's high. And I think this will work. And it did, and it worked massively. And I know it's going to work again. Now, do I certainly know? Can I guarantee it? I don't know if the sun's going to come up tomorrow. The earth could spin off its axis. So how can I guarantee something I have no control over? If nuclear war starts tomorrow, I don't know what crypto looks like. So we get no guarantees. There is no guarantees that you're going to get your paycheck next month. Unbeknownst, somebody might commit fraud at the job that you're in. So you think it's a guaranteed check, and it's not even guaranteed. There are no guarantees. And in life, what we have to do is take risks that make sense. And that's what investors do, is they learn what makes sense and they take risks that make sense. But most people that come into the crypto space think they're playing with this little toy that's going to make them rich, and they don't take the time to understand it. It's no different from technology investing. In fact, all you really are doing is early stage technology investing. And 95% of crypto people in the crypto space, though they use the word investing, they don't realize that they're truly in the early stage investing game, and they don't take the time to educate themselves on how to analyze one project versus another. Where are your best chances? What kind of things are you looking for the best chances? They just grab a token and repeat whatever talking point somebody else tells them without learning how to research it all. And that's okay. Some people aren't interested in the research, but it's the research that gives you clarity and improves your odds. just like in 21, you can get so good at the research and understanding your chances that you can even make money in a losing game. Crypto's even better because it's a winning game. Your chances are already decent for you if you just literally buy when it's boring and sell when it's high. But if you learn how to research too and you augment that, you won't be getting a base hit. You won't be getting a, oh, I got on to second base from one hit. It's like, oh my gosh, that went over the lights in the outfield. Holy F. And where else are you going to get that in your life? You're not going to see something like this again, most likely at this short of a cycle with these percentage increase in stocks. You're like, oh my gosh, I made 70% this year. And us crypto people are so spoiled. It's like 70x. Oh no, 70%. Oh yeah. I'm so excited for you. As we're walking home, we're talking to our friends. He got 70% in a whole year. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know, I made 5x in this thing I bought that I put 20,000 into, and it went to 100,000. And he's talking about 70% increases, and he's excited. And I didn't want to say anything, so I just tried to be excited for him, because now it does take patience. Look, from 4 years, like the cycle is 4 years long, and it has lows and it has highs. We're not at a high, and we're right near the bottom. So does that tell you that this is a good sell time and panic sell out? Or does it tell you exactly the opposite?
There's what I've seen a couple of people, and this is why I don't want to be like an ageist to say like, oh, check the age of the person that's talking, or check, but there are sometimes, there's a quote by in Lord of the Rings where Gimli says, some have seen too many winters. And then Legolas turns around and says, or too few, as in like, oh, they're too young, they're too inexperienced, they haven't been punched in the face. And you see a couple of people that go and say like, oh, well, it's actually okay to sell at the bottom, and I'll tell you why. It's like, oh my God, why are you doing this? And that's just, you have these new people coming in that are very green, and they might know that they don't know anything. Whether they do or they don't, there are some people that happen to have a following that they got it in the bull market, they got it wherever. And those people aren't necessarily learned. They're not erudites. This is their first time in it, and they got an audience. Just because you have a few thousand followers and you maybe have a little bit of money, I feel like that doesn't really give you the authority or perquisites to go and speak on the matter. How do you go and differentiate between who to listen to and who not to?
That's a great question. There's a massive incentive that's misaligned in YouTube and other video platforms. In fact, even Twitter. And what's that? Well, if you want to grow your channel, you need to talk about what's already hot, because you will get hit more of the algorithm, you'll get more views on your things, and you will get more people subscribing to you. So if I really wanted to grow my channel right now, I would talk about XRP 2 times a day, and I would get more viewers. And I actually think XRP has more to go, which is great. That's a rare thing that everybody's talking about it, and it's in the news, and it's already pumped some, and it probably has more to go. But I'm an investor, not a quote unquote influencer. So the way to grow the biggest channel is to talk about everything after it's pumped, which will wreck your audience, but you'll end up with the biggest channel. You'll end up with lots of sponsorships or partnerships or other things, and you'll have tons of money coming in. And there's lots of people like that, and they get lots of advertising dollars, and they're rich, not from their investing. Most of them are not rich from their investing. They're rich from their views and their sponsorships and their backroom deals that they got access to. That's cool. I can't fault them for it. But most people coming in think they have 1.4 million subscribers. They must know what they're talking about. Well, they know what they're talking about in order to get a bigger audience, but not for their audience to do well. Why? Because if their focus was helping their audience to do well, there's almost no way they could be so big. Because how much does it help your audience when you're talking about OMI when it's at 1.4 cents? See, I talked about Ecomi when it was at 1.4 cents because I thought the Vivi app and Batman at 80 gems, the Todd McFarlane Batman at 80 gems was what was hot and to look at. And you know what? I got hate for that. I was told I was stupid. OMI was where it was at. And the Batman wasn't even selling out on the app. And it was just sitting there and hardly anybody was buying it. And my answer to that was exactly. And from over a penny, OMI went way down. And what happened to the Todd McFarlane Batman? Well, the next January, it hit $16,000 or 16,000 gems. So 200X. So was I right? Yes. Did I get tons of views because I was talking about the Todd McFarlane Batman on the Vivi app? No, I got people that unsubscribed from me. Why? They wanted me to cover something serious, like the serious projects out there. And they were frustrated that I was covering this dumb Batman thing. But the people that were wise and had some wisdom, they agreed with why I thought it would do well. And a lot of my viewers bought it after doing their own research. And how did they do? Exceptional. Which I wanted to ask you, Randy. You've been going around and talking to a lot, networking with some really rich, influential people, and you've been educating them on OMI and other things. How's that been going the last 2 years? Because you have brought a lot of whales into, some haven't bought yet, some are waiting on the sidelines, but a bunch of them are aware, and many of them have been dollar cost averaging in. How's that going?
So there's two ways to look at it. It's what is their paper gains or paper losses, and currently, even with dollar cost averaging, a lot of them are down because they were buying at half a penny and 0.002 and 0.001, and now they're at the, with it below 1/10 of a penny. They are still dollar cost averaging, most of them. There are a couple that they already have their bag, that are like they have 100 million OMI, and that's fine, even though their average is, let's say, 0.002. They have their investment, and that's it. I would say the best thing about it is that because most of them are older, not like in their 70s or 80s, but they're middle-aged, in their 40s, 50s. They've been through this for quite a while. Most of them are exceedingly intelligent. That's how they got there. That's how they got to be where they are. They were also patient, like photographers waiting for that right moment to strike, that right time to invest. They know it's new, and a lot of it is not really around the tokenomics, because we only know so much about that. There's only so much of those tokenomics that are public. We do have the season 0 where we're going to have staking that applies with the app. We're going to have those rewards, but a lot of it does have to do with Vivi, and it does have to do with the fact that for whatever reason, Vivi happened to be the first to catch that lightning in a bottle. They do have a lot of first appearances, and other companies have first appearances as well. You have Hero that has the first appearances of a lot of different characters on the blockchain. You have Recur that had Hello Kitty and some Nickelodeon ones on the blockchain. But it doesn't seem to matter whether you raise $30 million, $50 million, which Vivi has not done. They could if they wanted to, and they could raise a couple $100 million like that. But a lot of the whales, they take a look at what the projects are doing and how much money they're making. And Vivi has consistently, in the last 2.5 years, I think we've maybe gone, there were a couple of times where we didn't have drops in a week. We would have a drop every other week. And they look at the revenue. And in this bear market, Vivi's still averaging like 3 million in gem sales each month. They did $150,000 today in 16 minutes. It's absolutely wild. And that's their thing. As long as the thesis of the company hasn't changed, I have this imposter syndrome where I'm just a YouTuber, and hey, here's these big, powerful CEOs, here's these politicians, and they know what they know, and they know what they don't know. And as long as I keep giving them bite-sized information every week, hey, here's a breakdown of what happened, here's like the big news, here's what to look out for. They keep flying me out places. They keep doing stuff, and you have that, one hand washes the other. They've been very, very good to me, and I to them. That payment is coming though. When OMI does start to run, they'll start moving. I think end of this year once we get utility. But yeah.
So some great discussion going on in the chat. I can't even keep up with it all, which is perfect. Recovery asks the question, Vivi is eating, but are there investors?
Funny he should say that when we were talking about investors. I mean, if you're talking about the OMI token, you know, they're waiting on sidelines. They'll have their day. The Vivi investors, I don't think there are too many. They've never done a funding round, to my opinion. They might have had a token sale at one point, but that was everyone that owns Vivi. I don't believe they have sold. Maybe you have some changing hands here or there, like you want to sell, but it's not to a big. Akomi still owns Vivi. Some people that own Vivi, parts of it, they might have sold a little bit, but for the most part, they're everything's still under the Akomi banner.
That is a great question. I'm going to add surprise guest who joined us, Doctor of Stuff, to help answer that question.
My bae.
What's up, Doctor?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? How you guys doing?
Good. The chat has been going crazy. Recovery Plus asked, I'm not going to ask your question about diversifying recovery. I don't love the question because we can't go back in time and the hypothetical doesn't make sense. But Doctor of Stuff, Vivi is eating, but are there investors eating?
It depends. Like, yes, right? Like, there are people who definitely have made profits there, but it depends on if they want to sell right now or not. Like, we've seen vault values go up recently. I know that I had even speculated that I think at least a portion of that was because cash out was gone, but we know that cash out is coming back in, and we knew that was going to happen eventually anyways. So it depends on what type of Vivi investor you are, right? Like, I mean, I guess if they're calling Vivi investor, I'm assuming that they are saying the people who are buying the Vivi collectibles. What's up, Bill Gardner? So, yeah, in that aspect, it depends. Yeah, there could be Vivi people who are eating, especially if they land these bigger drops. People who landed the Hulk SR comic, they wanted to sell that and wait for cash out, right? That's $7 or $20 turned into $1,800. Like, so I guess it depends, right? But yeah, Vivi is eating right now. Are Vivi investors? No, but are any of the NFT project investors eating right now? Like, I think we have to take a step back a little bit, like macro sometimes, right? It's so easy just to be like, well, what's happening with Vivi? But it's like, what's happening in the overall market? Azuki, I mean, I just read a thread on Azuki basically saying that like Azuki's dead, right? Now, I don't know if that's true, but like Azuki values are down extremely because of their elementals drop that they did, right? Where the art is actually better than the original IP, and some of their special characters are like way better looking than the original special characters and stuff, and the impact that is having there. So overall, the markets are down, but you can make money in any market, right? If you want to. But as you gentlemen know, my theory, like I'm in for the longer term, and so like I've done some short little flips there, but for some of these grail pieces and things, I think longer term, if Vivi is successful, I think some of these bigger pieces are going to hold significant value in the future. So,
agreed.
That answers the question.
That's a fantastic answer. So, Randy, you were probably around these days. I know Doctor of Stuff was, because I'm the one who talked to him about Vivi, and I said, hey, this is the first appearance of Batman on the blockchain. And he did about a week's worth of research, and then he's like, oh, yes. But realize at that time, so the Todd McFarlane Batman, it was available like for another like 2.5 months on the app. And so if you bought it, in fact, in the early days, if you bought it and you tried to turn around and flip it on the marketplace while the marketplace was open in the early days, you couldn't make a profit on it. So it's about timing. If you bought Pokemon the first year that the cards came out and you held those packs and you're like, it's already 18 months since these launched and they haven't gone up in value at all. F you, Pokemon. I hate you guys.
Sony should bring that up.
Expectations were off, right?
I was just thinking about that, and in let's say 2010, one class back like 10, 15 years ago, you have first edition Charizard, PSA 10. Right now, that card is worth well into six figures, a couple $100,000. you could have that on eBay, the lowest price, at $2,000, and it wouldn't sell. Like it took weeks in order to move product. You couldn't make a business out of it in 2010 the way you could in 2016. And some things take time. Obviously, with technology, things don't take as long. But you're right. This is like buying a Todd right now for $1,000, which is probably similar. I'm not going to say that Todd's going to go to 300,000, but it would be similar to buying a Charizard when it was a couple grand and it's down there for a while. I think when you have in the bear market, let's say a Todd was, I don't know, what was a Todd, you think, like 4 ETH maybe, if we were talking about ETH, because ETH was like 3,000, let's say, dollars, and Todd was over like 12K. You would expect when the price of ETH went down, the price of the Todd to go up, or things measured in ETH go up, in order to keep that same price. But they didn't. ETH went down by 50%, and the price went down by 50%, which means that this goes down, like 5x. I expect the opposite to happen in a bull market. Okay, Todd is worth, half an ETH right now. I think in a bull market, when ETH is worth 4K, okay, well, does that mean Todd is just going to be worth 2K because it's half an ETH? No, he's probably going to be worth 4 ETH again, and that's just the way it'll happen. We've had crypto to gem at some point. We will have it again, but I think at that point, once you get that, and you have all these ETH reach people going in, that's going to be a big catalyst for us.
Queen Vivi is joining us. Everyone say hello to Lori Brenner.
What up, Queen?
And Sleeping Comics. All right. Love it.
I know him.
What's up, Sleeping?
We
He's
love
such a
your
rock
chat.
star. I just realized I am not following Sleeping Comment. I feel like a
Really?
terrible person. Yeah, I know. I'm going to fix that right now. Hold on.
Yeah. It's hard to put a price expectation on exactly where, say, a Todd McFarlane will go. And it really has to do with how much momentum we get. However, I didn't know where Cardano would top out at when it was 5 cents. I knew it was cheap. When it went to 4 cents, I knew it was even cheaper. And when it was 3 cents, I knew it was massively underpriced. And went to 1.7 cents, I was like, holy F, this is a dream that came true. And we're in that kind of market again, right? And so Ecomi, some things are popping off. Ecomi hasn't yet, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing if you like buying cheap. And so some people will say, but I already have some. And it's like, well, okay, everyone's got to make their own decisions. But the ones that I know that are super rich from the last bear market kept dollar cost averaging in as much as they could because they got where this was going. Like, and you think maybe it takes a high IQ or something. One of the guys I know that's worth like $3 to $5 million now, I don't know, his IQ is probably around 100 or less. It's not very high, but he just got it and he just worked hard and he bought more Cardano and he bought more Cardano and he bought more Cardano. And last market, that was this, in my opinion, the safest bet, though it wasn't safe. It was like overfunded. They had utility coming. The utility wasn't there yet. There were massive, massive delays, and those delays were explained and accounted for. And so it was still a risk, but it was a risk that seemed like less risky than most of the other things that I'm looking at. And for this cycle, OMI holds that position for me. So that's my thoughts. And like some people are like, oh, what if you're wrong? Look, I've been wrong before, and it happens sometimes. It's not all that often, though.
It's if I was the only one that was talking about OMI and there was like nobody else really talking about it and nobody else thought it was a good idea, I might be like, okay, maybe I'm wrong here. But the fact that you have everyone here, you guys are both smarter than me in many different ways, and then you have Dr. Profit, you have Mr. MC1, you have a bunch of people that believe in the product that it's attached to, along with the tokenomics. If people don't follow me, that's fine, but follow everyone else that you see on here, and then you'll know. And obviously nobody can know 100%, but I feel very confident that the people that are standing shoulder to shoulder with me are here right now. That gives me more confidence than most anything.
The thing is, and you guys have both hit on it, but like We were on the stream just the other. I was on the stream just the other night with Danny DeBull, and we were kind of talking just about. Well, Sam Ellis had said like this is all just kind of hypotheticals, anyway, guesswork type stuff, and I was like, yeah, but it's educated guesswork, right? Like obviously you can't know, because if you knew, then like there wouldn't be these massive gains because everyone else would know too, right? But you can see the signs, and we keep looking at all of the signs that are happening. You have all of these major IPs and more that have not been announced yet, right? They continue to make these announcements, and there's others that they are lining up that I think will be also like massive juggernauts as well, right? So you have all these major IPs coming together that are going to be FAs on the blockchain with one company. That's crazy to me. I remember back in the day when Amazon first launched, and I heard about it, right? And they were selling college books. I think it was like aviation. Some I can't remember the exact books that they were selling, but like college type books, right? And everyone was like, "What in the world? Like what a stupid company! This is so stupid." But there's a lot of people who were like, you know what? Like this could be big. And people kept being like, why would I order something online when I can just go to the store? Like, and they just couldn't see the vision. But when I talk to you guys, right, and I talk to other people, they see this vision, like visionaries, if you want to call it that, right? People are saying this is where technology and where the world is going, right? It's going digital. And so as people start looking at it, and as people become more comfortable with a digital world, they will start looking at the digital collectible space and saying, oh, what are the firsts, right? And Vivi has those firsts. And when you tie in the OMI token to that, and how with the OMI token, you'll be able to have better access to the first of these things, it just makes so much sense, right? But there's a lot of FUD around it still. It's still early stages. And look, not everything that was first actually makes it out of that stage, right? There's still that risk, but with that risk comes great reward. So I'm all here for it. So I have to touch on this shirt. So shout out to Biscuits. I love it. So what happened, man? Wes is such a troll against anyone who's like left Vivi or like publicly announced that they've left Vivi, right? That they've sold all their stuff, but then they still comment on Vivi. And I do remember seeing this comment that Wes said to Biscuits about like, I thought you left. And she made this like fudders.com little enterprise with epic shirts. I had to get one. I love Biscuits. I think she's awesome. But this shirt does remind me like of my saying, right? That you can leave Vivi, but you can't leave Vivi alone. And that's powerful. Any company where that is the case, it just, there's so much emotion tied to that people can't leave it alone. There's something about that just makes so much sense, right? So shout out to all those people that left but are still here. You're just reinforcing my belief that Vivi's going to make it long term.
They're watching us right now. So to quickly respond on your, when you said everyone's going digital collectibles, and for good reason, you made the point about, oh, why do I need to buy off Amazon if I could just go to the store? It's about time saving. Why wait for some, when you go and you buy something off eBay, you have to wait 7, 10, 12 days, depending on where it's coming from. You buy something on any type of digital collectible, and it doesn't have to be on Vivi, but anywhere, you get it in a couple seconds. You get to enjoy it and play with it in a couple seconds. You don't have to worry about shipping charges and insurance, and you don't have to worry about it breaking. It's going to be there no matter what. You can punt your phone out a window, it'll be fine. And there's a buddy of mine that has that knows the president of PSA, and he has another friend that had just bought 1.3 million baseball cards. Not $1.3 million of baseball cards, 1.3 million baseball cards, and is going to grade about 20,000 of them. And when they got to talking, he was saying at PSA, hey, who are some of like your biggest customers? And it says like, they're not Americans. There are a lot of these foreign-born people that are buying a lot of Americana type product, baseball cards, basketball cards, whatever. I have seen a few of them in Pokemon cards as well. That's not an American product. That's obviously Japanese, but they haven't gone into the digital collectibles yet. They will, because they're starting with the physical stuff like we all did, and then they will go into this. So we haven't seen we've not yet begun to see this amount of money that's going to go into this. So I'm very, very excited.
Yet is the right word for that, right? So, and yet is the part where it trips so many people up because they want guarantees. They want to know when. They come from a space that, like, okay, if they get offered a job, they know that the job starts in 6 weeks. And there's all these certainties. And when you enter into the investing realm, there's a lot of uncertainties. There's a lot of guesswork. There's a lot of education to make good guesses. There's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of shit out there. There's a lot of crap projects that have almost no chance that if they just actually launch at just the right time, they'll pump for no other reason than the timing's right, but they're weeds and not good plants. Because the rains come in every 4 years and we have this massive growth cycle that just blows everything away. And so if those projects launch right then, they might get some traction and grow, and then they will absolutely die. But if you learn how to research and identify the good projects out there, your chances of doing well vastly improve. If you buy when it's boring, and I use that statement all the time, I created that statement. Buying when it's boring, because it's the right way to think about it. The crypto space seems boring right now. There's not a lot going on, it feels like. Now, it's been a lot hotter this last couple of weeks. That's cool. It might die down or it might continue to take off. I can't tell you if the rains are coming in 6 months or if they're coming in 18 months. What I can tell you is in the next 3 years, we're extremely likely to have a massive, massive run compared to where prices are now. So if you use money that you can't afford to lose, not that you want to, then you have the ability to be patient and you're stocking up and storing. That's why I say squeeze expenses as low as you can. Like I have driven and I still drive, and it's somewhat ridiculous that I still drive this, but I drive a Ford Fiesta that's a little piece of crap. And people look at me and laugh and they're like, you could have bought a Lamborghini. You could have bought this. You could have bought that. And I was like, yeah, I could have bought a Lamborghini and paid $1,200 for an oil change. And that $250,000, what would that really cost me? Well, in the next bull run, that $250,000 would cost me $7 million. And Lamborghinis aren't worth $7 million to me. So why would I buy it yet? I'll buy it when $250,000 is like money I'm carrying around in my wallet because I want one. I just don't want one for $7 million worth of value. After this next run, it probably won't even matter, and I'll probably have one in a Ferrari. But I was delaying my gratification till the price of a Lamborghini was like a blip on the radar completely to me. And why not squeeze your own expenses? Why not figure out how you can cut the budget down? You can grow your income. I know somebody smart who took on extra consulting work and other things so they could increase their income so they could stock up while things are low. And I think they're really going to be happy with the results of what that generates them. And even though it's only an extra $1,200 a month, an extra $1,200 a month invested during this big pullback is massive when the rains come again. And they will. And it's the timing of, I don't have solid answers. I can't tell you if it's going to kick off and go now and go absolutely parabolic in the next 4 to 6 months. It shouldn't happen yet. That doesn't mean it won't, but it shouldn't happen yet. Might happen next year when that Bitcoin halving happens. It might happen the year after. I think it'll probably be this year or next year, most likely leaning towards next year. But who knows? And when it does, OMI is going to probably, no guarantees, go absolutely nuts because it has all these foundations. It's one of the only crypto projects in the whole effing world that has income right now. And that income provides massive stability. Do you know that 99% of crypto projects have no realistic income right now, and they're saying sometime down the road, maybe 3 years from now, maybe we'll actually be able to pay our employees without borrowing more money to pay them. And OMI's not in that type of position. Now, they were last bear market. Last bear market were lean times for them, and they made it through that. Now they have an app that's one of the most used crypto apps as far as buying, on a phone and everything, as far as buying digital collectibles. It has some of the best digital collectibles with the biggest brands in the world. The company is revenue positive, all these things positive for it. And people are complaining that the price is still cheap. And I'm like, what don't you get about this equation? And they're like, yeah, but I already have some OMI. I'm like, how much is some? Do you have 200 million yet? Oh, you don't. Okay. If you had 200 million, I'd be like, yes, you have some OMI. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether to buy it or not, because that's your own decision. I just tell you, I just bought more and I already have a lot. I don't have Randy a lot yet because I am massively diversified versus Randy. But if I were to go all in on one project, Ecomi is the only one I could think of in that market cap range. I would. Cardano would be another one, but I would go all in on Ecomi before I went all in on Cardano, because Cardano I think will do well. It just won't have the multiples that I think Ecomi will have.
And when you're talking about other companies not having revenue or other projects not having revenue, you take a look at, and this is a bear market revenue. Companies that are trying to compete with Vivi now are competing with Vivi in this bear market, and they can't compete with OMI in a bear market. They're not going to be able to compete with Vivi in 2025 in the height of the bull market. I mean, you already have. I remember in November of 2021, I'd met the artist Mumbot at DesignerCon, and she had met the team, she had met everyone, and within a year, she had a deal with Ecomi in place saying that, hey, we're going to put you on the Vivi app at some point. And we still haven't had her on the app yet. So from meeting the team and having a really good relationship with them in 2021, finally getting officially signed on by Ecomi in 2022, she might not get on the app until 2024. So that means you have like a 2.5, 3 year waiting list if you want to get on Vivi. Everyone and their sister wants to get on Vivi. We have no problem with content. We have content for 5 years, 10 years, and that's a couple of years planned. Not even stuff they don't have planned. They could just do Marvel, and they could have content for 10 years. They have everything under the sun, and it's not like hey, we have enough, we're going to stop. They were just in Las Vegas 2 months ago. They were just in Japan last month, and they were in China, and now they're in every single place that they go to, they sign a license. It is not stopping. This machine will keep growing and keep running, and I need more. I'm going to get more. 172 million. I'm going to get more.
So I like Big A. I don't know Big A, but he says, honestly, my oil changes on my Ferrari were like 800 and my Bentley was like 900. Not too terrible. Big A.
Big A is a big whale.
Very well. He is clearly a whale, which is awesome. Funny enough about things I learned over the past 2 months. So I was against getting a Ferrari or a Lamborghini almost completely until literally it was just like almost nothing till I learned. I had heard one person tell me this story before, but I didn't quite believe it till I heard someone else tell me. I was in California, and this person was telling me that if you buy an upgraded Ferrari, it will appreciate. So you buy it, and there's some certain conditions, and you buy it, and you even drive it some that year, and then the next year you can sell it for more or the same as what you bought it for. And I'm like, okay, now I will get a Ferrari, and I will get a Lamborghini, because you can do it with both. And I was like, okay, because one of my biggest challenges with cars is the massive decrease in values that they go through versus other things. And I don't like buying things that massively decrease in value, even if they're fun to drive. So, but when he told me that, I was like, okay, you got to spend in the realm of like 700,000 a piece for them. And you can sell them a year later for about what you bought them. And then I thought, okay, I think I will get a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. Big A, Exotic Car Hacks YouTube channel. Okay, I will look for that. Let's see. There was one thing I wanted to say in here, which was funny. Recovery Plus has a lot of comments, clearly. Anyone on the panel want to present a bearish case for OMI and Vivi? It would round out the perspective. Now, here's the problem I have with that. It's a fair request. I haven't heard a well-backed case for why Ecomi and Vivi won't do well. I've heard lots of cases for why Ecomi and Vivi aren't going to do well. They were filled with emotion and frustration and terrible logic. And so who am I going to invite? Let me know someone that has a very, very good logical case about why Ecomi and Vivi won't do well from here. And I would love to hear that clear, logical case. I've heard frustration. I've heard, oh my gosh, they don't even have utility yet. They don't. Good. It's coming. But
I mean, we could do it here. Like we could do it between all of us. Like we can do it.
Yeah. So like there's some things, right? Like, okay, the bearish case, I would say, is that, well, depending on Vivi or OMI, right? But for OMI, The bearish case is that the SEC, because OMI is tied to all of these major IPs, it becomes big enough to be on the SEC's radar, and they slap OMI or Ecomi with a Wells notice, and they're saying, hey, we're investigating you. They label OMI as a security. For a lot of companies, a lot of crypto tokens out there, that might be a death knell, right? Where they just don't have the funds to do that. OMI, they have the funds. They would start having to basically make prospectuses. They would have to have financials out there. It's something that they could do. That could impact the token, and I think short term it definitely would impact the price of that, right? But that's what's so funny when we're trying to be, and I'm trying to be realistic, that could possibly happen. But I do believe that they have the funds to basically put out the financial reporting that they need to. They'd have to have a major compliance team with some of that, and financial reporting team, have SOX reporting, all of that type of stuff. But they could feel that would slow them down a little bit. So I think that there would be a dip. But then once they started doing that, I think the token would be massive, as people would be like, oh my gosh, it could be traded as a security. And how many tokens can actually do that? So there's that could impact OMI, and it could be that the team is like, look, we're not going to deal with that. That would be terrible, right? I don't think that they would do that. But if we want to present bearish cases of things that could happen, okay, that's the case, right? Now we also have to say, how likely is that to happen? If the team decided we're going to do away with the OMI token, because it doesn't have to impact the Vivi side of things, the credibility that they would lose amongst their community would be massive, and they would have to weigh that. So I think that the likelihood of that actually happening is incredibly small. But look, if we want to present cases like that, there's part of the case for OMI if someone wants to touch on some Vivi stuff.
So just to piggyback on that. Sorry, go ahead, Ren.
The lawsuits that would happen too would be huge. And even if they win them, the cost of those lawsuits, because they would get sued from
all the investors,
every country and stuff. But they could ditch the use case. But people will take that from a small project that's got a $500,000 market cap or a $2 million market cap. Somebody like Vivi doing that, it's not really a course of action they could take without severe financial cost to them. So they can't take that course. They can, but they can't.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
So just to try to piggyback on that is, if you want to go and go down and play those dominoes out on that, you could make the argument, and this is kind of in their defense, hey, we have, Dave and Dan have 30 billion tokens each, and why would you not spend a few million now so you could potentially make a few billion in the future? And again, this is assuming that the SEC does go and they try to push against that. I think there are clearly other more cryptos that really fit that security model that they should go after, as opposed to OMI. The other thing that I can think of is monopoly laws. If you have Vivi having the biggest one, again, every other company that tries to do this, or at least something like this, doesn't really fare well. I would say Cryptoys is probably the closest, that they have their closed ecosystem. They don't have a token, but they have a closed ecosystem. They share at least just Star Wars, and they will go and they're trying to model themselves after Vivi. But if they don't survive, if they can't do it, I could see at some point any government of the world saying, hey, you guys are this big monopoly, no other place that can survive. And maybe they try to break Vivi up. Maybe they try to do something where you can only do X amount. And the other aspect, again, you do have people waiting years in order to go and get listed on Vivi, even after contract. So we haven't had a Fox drop in 2 years. I think the last one was the gold. The only one was the golden moments for The Simpsons. Is other companies at Disney taking precedent over it? Or other companies, is there intercompany war that's happening? Hey, I don't know. I don't think so, but it does seem like there are people that do. There are companies that get drops quite a lot more often than other companies. But outside of that, I don't think there's really anything. You could have, God forbid the worst happens, knock on wood, one of the founders or one of the, something bad happens to them. incapacitated, hospitalized. I know David and Dan typically don't travel together anymore. Like they fly separately, just in case of that. Al Khan's a titan in his field, but he is in his 70s. He might not want to do this forever, or he might do this until he can't anymore. When that day comes, I don't know. Again, he did accompany them to Las Vegas a month or two ago for licensing. So anything that would happen to any one of those three, it would be a big hit. Does that take him down? No. For OMI, they could come out in the Viviverse, which a lot of us are really thinking is going to be a really big boon for him. But it could be laggy. It could be, the games could be a miss. They could come out and, maybe mass adoption doesn't take 2 years. Maybe it takes 10 years. And because it goes slow, those types of things, I don't think anything would really kill Okomi, but there are things that could slow them down.
I wanted to address a question and one asked really quick. He said, what are you looking to buy or add now, Rain? I released a video about a week ago about my top 5 projects, and I gave a few runners up in there. That's a great video go over. OMI is one of them, and I have recently added even more OMI. So I would check out that video where I go through and make a case. And the reason is because when I give what I'm buying, I also feel like I want to give the case, what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Because at the end of the day, this is about educating people to become investors. This isn't telling people what to buy, because that does none of us any good. Because even if I were 100% right all the time, you wouldn't learn to become good yourself. What happens when I'm living in an island 3 years from now and on a beach, and I make one video like every 6 months? Because I only committed to the audience through 2025. After that, I make no promises. And so what happens when I'm gone? Well, it's kind of like you've trained everyone to let you do all the fishing for them and give them the fish. What if you create a community and a system where everybody becomes not only an investor, and there's some people that come in already very smart investors, but they join in the network too. And so they also get to bounce off ideas with other investors. And so you get a group, and I created a private Discord specifically for this, so that there's lots of communications with logical reasons behind why they like, and saying the pros and cons and evaluating and like what I think about stuff. And they, will write critiques, and they'll say, oh, I really like that about this, or, oh, I think you're missing this. Because it's about creating a group of people who know how to fish, who learn how to fish, become great fishermen, and networking together so that everyone who's willing to learn and to grow can become rich within an 8-year period. 8-year period, because that gives them time for 2 cycles. And the only way that you can't become rich in 2 cycles is that you're doing things completely wrong. And there are a lot of people that come into space and do things completely wrong, which is why I felt like I needed to make that course. And if I gave it away for free, people don't value free information. They watch YouTube all the time, and you see sometimes really like negative, dumb comments. Why? They haven't invested anything. And so sometimes the problem is that education is too cheap. You can go to medical school. You can pay $120,000 to $500,000 to go to medical school, and you can actually get better medical information that's more updated, that knows what's going on YouTube. You won't get a doctorate degree. But because they paid $500,000 for their education, if you show them a video that actually has better information than what they learn in medical school, they won't care. They won't accept that information because they paid $500,000 for their education. And so and they made the sacrifice for that education. So they won't even take in other information. So information that is free, sometimes we disregard. And so I purposely made it a price. Those that are in my Discord, I did make them an offer that if they couldn't afford the full price, they tell me what price they wanted to pay, and I would make them a deal. But I also gave them a bunch of homework to do related to it. Because if you do the right things over the next 8 years, I don't see why you're not worth over $1 million. Now, if you invest $1 a month, you're not going to get there. But everyone's in a position they can do more than that. And it has to do with learning how to make smart choices. Even though I had 20 years investing experience prior to crypto, when I came in, I was brand new to crypto. And I didn't know the difference between a piece of crap project and a good one. What narratives might succeed and what narratives might not succeed. Part of the reason I created this channel, a big part of it, was to educate people with everything that I was learning. I was doing all this research anyway. Another reason is because when you're just an investor yourself, you can't get the project teams to come speak to you. I had $20,000 invested in this project. I couldn't get past their Telegram admin to ask serious questions to the team to make a more educated decision on whether I need to buy more or sell. So then I was like, well, shoot, he's going on so-and-so's YouTube channel. They have 10,000 viewers. That person doesn't even know good questions to ask them. What the hell do I need to do? Oh, well, I need to start a YouTube channel so that I can get them to come on and ask them those questions so I can get better information. And while I'm getting that better information, everyone else is getting it too. It's a win-win. So when I was brand new, I was like, hey, look, I don't know if I'm good at this YouTube thing. I'm a great investor. I don't know if I'm good at YouTube, but if I get enough people, that'll give us the ability to reach out to these projects, have them on the channel, ask them questions so we can make better investor decisions. And I think it'll go well for everyone. And it has. All right. Let me see. Jordan personally put in about 500K. Yeah.
He's a beast.
Jordan's gone very serious in this space, and I think it's going to work out really well. What's fun about this is I've always liked the idea that you can go from whatever station in life that you're born into to rich, right? So if you come into life pretty poor, it's actually easier when you come into life pretty poor because there's something you get from being born into poverty or even lower middle class that you don't often get when you are born into a rich family. People say, oh, but the rich family, they have all these connections, everything. That's not the most important factor of success. Most of the time, being born into a rich family, they lack the most important factor in success, and that is hunger, drive, desire. So when I say hunger, I don't mean like actually going hungry. I'm talking about hunger or a desire, that drive that will drive them through all the obstacles, because trust me, no matter who you are and where you are, there are massive obstacles in your way trying to stop you from massive success. And only the hungry will get there. Only those hungry for it, that need it, that think about it day in and day out, will get there. But with things like crypto, this opportunity is worldwide. Doesn't matter if you're in a country where there's a total glass ceiling. If you have access to Uniswap and you can put your currency in and get Ether in there, you've got the opportunity of a lifetime right in your pocket. Doesn't matter if you're in the most impoverished country in the world. If you can use Uniswap, you can make massive, massive gains in 8 years. If you're really, really lucky, in 4 years. But 8 years, if you're doing the right things.
There's this guy I know from India. He messaged me on Twitter like a while ago. And he's like, hey, what do you really think about OMI? And he's like, I have 50,000 OMI. My goal is to eventually one day, possibly, because I guess he's in the part of India where he's not really making a ton of money, or I guess that I know that they're up and coming country trying to get to the first world, but they are. I've been following him, and it's really interesting because he will. I don't want to say he'll never be a millionaire, but you don't need to be in order to get out of poverty. Like the power that a lot of crypto has to bring you from poverty in that poor class to middle class is astounding. And I don't think I've seen anything else like this in the world that can do that. Maybe if you like join like a nation's military and then you travel around, you go wherever and get lucky and get a job, you could do that. But that could take years. You run the risk of your life doing that. But for doing that in crypto, I think he has a couple 100,000 OMI, which I know is not a ton. But eventually, before the end of the decade, when this reaches several cents, like even like $1, for something like that in a third world country, absolute life changing. And he's not going to be the only one. There will be multiple people like that. David and Dan will do a type of documentary at some point. I don't know exactly when, but they have certain people already that they've asked to be on it, and I can't wait.
Dr. Stuff and I never got the Vivi logo. I was the first influencer covering Vivi on YouTube, and they haven't reached out to me either. But they always talk to Randy, which is smart. Why? Randy is one of the most dialed in people in this space. And I'm pretty sure everyone with a brain loves Randy.
Well, and not only that, but one of the most personable. Man, just meeting Randy in person, it was so fun. And like we're walking in New York, just the streets of New York, and some random guy is like, the real Randy Chavez? Like he recognized him on the streets of New York. It was amazing, you know. He's like,
Chinatown in New York
all the time.
Yeah,
Oh,
Chinatown.
that was I just and that's it just made me laugh because yeah, you just got this personality, man. It's very lovable. And look, like I love it, and people will call you out sometimes for how extreme you are on certain things, but like you have a high risk tolerance, and that's okay, right? And it's so funny because people are like, oh, like you shouldn't do that. Don't listen to Randy. Like, and it's like, look, like listen to what Randy has to say, and if you like it, great. And if you don't, like, if you have a different risk tolerance, that's great too, right? It's so funny to me that it's just like you can learn something from anyone, but like Randy, man, the hours that you put in streaming is mind-boggling. It's incredible, right? And I think the team really appreciates that too. They do talk to you because you are talking to the audience, you are talking to the community. You're very plugged into that, and so they can get a lot of insight from you as well. So, like Rain said, I think that's incredibly smart that they're doing that. Rain, I think that obviously the reason that you did not get a Vivi logo is you weren't exclusive to Vivi. I think the YouTubers that at the time were basically, it was almost like 95% Vivi content that they were pumping out, right? And so that's who the community, that's who they saw all the time. But if you remember, right, when you and I put out that Why OMI is My Homie article, that's when I think Ecomi actually started following you at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then since then, right, they've put one of the videos up that we had done when we interviewed Reese. They put that up on their little monthly spotlight. So they definitely know who you are. And hey, maybe one day you and I will get those Vivi logos, but if not, we're still going to continue to put out this content and talk about these things. And just, this is what I love about Rain too, is I think that first of all, he's successful, right? He's been successful in the crypto business, and not just in crypto, but in the real world business. And that's so important because there are some people who are great at being YouTubers, but they suck at investing and managing money. And yet they're telling people about investing and managing money. And people look and say, well, they're this successful YouTuber. They must know about these things. And they don't. And they get wrecked, right? And those are the types, those YouTubers, because they suck at investing, they have to dump on their community, right? They're talking up these tokens so they can dump them on their community because they don't know what tokens are really going to do well. And it's a shotgun approach. And then these other projects are just reaching out and say, hey, if you shill our company, then we'll pay you a ton of tokens. And they're not even doing the research on them. And they're just talking about it. But when I worked with Rain, that was one of the main things that we really looked at was the number of emails he got from projects. It was insane. Like, just like all the time, all of these projects saying, hey, come talk about us, and sifting through those and saying, what ones do we think have the potential to be successful, right? And presenting those. And so even though he could have taken all this money, that's not what he's about. And I love that, right? It's just like, how can we educate the people in this space? Maybe not be the biggest channel, but the viewers are going to be the most successful because they learn those investing techniques and mindsets that are so important. So I definitely learned a lot from Rain, and I love it. And I'm so bullish. And the fact that, like, as we talk, right? Look, when who was it that was asking about that bearish case for OMI? I think that we recovery plus, right? We obviously do that. That's an investor mindset. You have to do that. You cannot go into something just with blinders on and being like, nope, I'm just going to go into this full force because that's our money. That's our hard-earned money. And like, we don't want to lose. No one wants to lose the money, right? And so we do talk about like, hey, well, what if the team doesn't, if they're so slow developing things that someone like Cryptoys catches up to them and starts beating them? What happens then, right? And that's something that we talk about. And we're like, what's realistically the chance that could happen? And does that mean that Vivi is dead, or does it mean that they're just in second place, but then Vivi still has all these FAs? Like, there's a lot of things and scenarios that we go through that sometimes we don't necessarily talk about on these streams. I think it can be useful to do that, right? So that we don't just come off as moon boyish, but we're presenting a lot of scenarios of what's likely to happen, because I think a lot of times people don't even think about that, right? They do hear the fudders in the space of all this stuff, and they get emotionally tied to it because they have their hard-earned money in this. And these fudders, man, especially the ones that, like, I look at these fudders and I'm like, okay, how successful are you? Like, what are you doing, Mr. Futter, Mrs. Futter, right? Like, what are you successful in? Like, what are you interested in? And it's not like you got like full-on Twitter personalities and all they do is FUD, And I'm like, I can't listen to you because you're obviously not successful. I want to listen to people who are successful in what they do and what they engage in. So I thought you guys left, but you're still here, and I'll continue to engage with you.
I actually tell people you probably shouldn't do what I do, because if I let's say we have a solar flare and all crypto is destroyed, all my money's in crypto, my lifestyle doesn't really change. I'll still live in the same room with Dashi. I'll work a bit more, but my lifestyle will not change. If other people that have maybe never lived like this, that have maybe never lived below a certain type of line, they risk their house, they risk their car, they over leverage themselves, and then if it does go to crap, suddenly they're in a world that they've never been in before. They have to dig deep down, and they might not have what's there to survive. So I actually don't recommend that people do this. Going all in is usually not the smartest thing, but that's like Rocky. Like, that's all I know. That's what I've done for years. So this Pokemon, high risk lending, Tesla, or now this. This is just what I'm used to. But this is the last time we'll go all in, though. I will take my own advice. This is the last time I'm going to go all on a project. I don't think I'll ever do more than like 20 or 20% of net worth in one project again.
Yeah. Often going all in does not work out well. I know a lot of people that have gone all in on things. I know a few people that have gone all in on something that worked out really well. And pretty much only those that had gone all in last bear market on Cardano worked out very well for them. If I were to go all in, OMI is the only one I'd go all in right now, but I'm in a position I don't have to go all in. Why would I? I was in the last bear market. Even last bear market, I didn't go all in, even on Cardano, even though I really, really liked it. And you know what? My friend that went all in on Cardano, his portfolio had about the same amount of money in, and his portfolio shot up ahead of mine. And I was like, crap. But then about 3 months later, caught up to him and everything and passed, and it was like, okay, well, cool. Yeah. All in works out. It increases your risk factor by a lot. And I don't know how many of these cycles we're going to have. We're going to have this one coming up, possibly, probably one after that, and then it will kind of flatten. Why? Because the growth curve would have happened. Who else is going to adopt this? The aliens from other planets? Like, 40% of the population will be in crypto after those two cycles. And so, yeah, you'll get the rest of the population over time, but it can't go exponential. The exponential phase will have already passed. So this window won't be here very long. And so it's like you gotta, what is it? You gotta work while the sun is out, so.
Strike while the iron's hot.
That too. Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's see any other comments. I know Dr. Stuff has to peace out. I can stay for a few more. Randy, you got a few?
We do a few hours. I'm chill.
Nice. Dr. Stuff, we appreciate you jumping in. I sent him a message, said, hey, Randy and I are going to be on the stream. Jump in if you have a sec. And so it was good that he was able to jump in.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Anytime, I've missed streaming with Randy. It's been too long, buddy. And it's just good to chat with you. And I just need to hit you in the DMs more often, too, to see how you're doing. But appreciate the invite, Rain, as always. And look, I'll just give a shout out to everyone who's still here, in the crypto, in the throes of the bear market, right? And I think a lot of that for Vivi was in March and April, right, where there was Twitter FUD spaces every day, and very few Vivi pro VV spaces, but you guys are still here. You're still interested in that. And I think that is like, that's showing that you guys are battle tested and you are willing and you have a strong conviction in things. And I think that the people who are able to weather those storms are the ones who are more likely than not to be successful in especially in the crypto space with all this volatility. So keep at it, right? Don't over leverage yourself, please. And again, none of this is ever financial advice. This is just what we love it and we enjoy talking about it. This is where we're putting our money and things. But obviously, if you haven't subscribed to Crypto Rain or Real Randy Chavez, please do so. And I love the content that they put out, and I am honored and feel privileged anytime I get to share the space with them. So thanks, everyone.
I love you too, man. I'll catch you later.
Peace out.
Talk soon.
Yeah,
I love him.
he's so amazing. His analytical skills are phenomenal too.
Yeah.
He actually sent me this new NFT project in March of 2021. And he said, this new NFT project came out. Here's the one I think you should buy. It just listed on OpenSea for 1 ETH. It's the most expensive of them. And it was a Bored Ape with these laser eyes that was half cyborg and everything. And the Bored Ape price at the time, floor price, was going for about 0.1 ETH. And this was selling for 1 ETH. I had just bought $50,000 worth of a different NFT project that I ended up making about 2x on, so I can't complain. But I was like, well, crap, I wish you had like 2 days ago, like contacted me about this. I would buy it. That one later sold for like $2 million. And I was like, crap. Oh, well.
Always good to be liquid.
Yeah, right. And I just put 50K and I liquidated a bunch of things because my friend gave me this thesis and he's like, okay, I think these are going to do well. And I agreed with his thesis. And I was like, I think they'll do well too. And so I bought a bunch of that. And, within about 6 months, I made, I doubled it. So not bad, not amazing, but not bad. But yeah.
I had not purchased OMI in a little while because I needed I am saving for a certain NFT. Are you still buying Vivi NFTs, or are you more focused on crypto right now?
Both. I've been buying some. I'm really selective on the NFTs that I'm buying, the digital collectibles that I'm buying with Vivi. I want the things that are like first appearances or something very special about them of major intellectual property. And I pass along on the poster things and a lot of the other things. So I like season 1, season 2, season 3 of things. Like I bought NBA Top Shots when it first launched. I had no idea for sure if it would do well in the short term. Long term, I was like, I don't see why this won't do incredibly well. So this is October 2020. And I put about $1,100 into it. And I was like, well, I know basketball cards. At first, they were very cheap and they went to very expensive later because there weren't a whole lot of them. And I don't know if these compare to basketball cards, but I don't see why they don't, because they're even better. They're video moments and you own like not just a picture of a really cool dunk, but the whole moment. It makes sense to me. I think it'll do well. 6 months later, that $1,100 was $185,000 in value. And I was right. And then it scaled back and it's worth about $30,000 now. So I'm only up 25x.
Only up 25x.
Right? Happens.
Yeah.
But what's that going to be worth in 5 years from now? And, of course, a friend told me, you should sell it at $185,000. I said, I will sell it. I'm not going to sell it yet. I'm going to sell it when I can buy a house with some of these. That's what I'll sell it. And that will happen. And it, I'll have my own house. So probably it'll have to be a rental house or something, or maybe I'll buy a Ferrari with it, that then I can do the right thing so it'll increase in value. But I'll wait because it's series 1 of NBA Top Shots, right? And there's only so many like LeBron James moments and some of these other rookies who will become superstars and it'll be their first moments, or all these other superstars, their first time on the blockchain, and it will be a really, really big deal. NFL all day, another one I went in. Vivi, I put more money in Vivi during January of last year, the bull run of the Vivi app collectibles. My vault value was worth like $660,000. So sure, I could have sold that all and bought a house. There wasn't cash out yet, but I could have sold it all and waited. I sold a few things, but I think it'll surpass that in the future. So
yeah, agreed. So I know you said you really only collect made first appearances of major IPs. Do you have a Luke Skywalker?
not yet. I'm waiting for it to die down and everybody kind of like forgets about it. And if they don't, then that's all right. I'll miss it. But I would rather buy a whole bunch of Boba Fett's and a whole bunch of Darth Vaders right now, which are out of the spotlight. Nobody's thinking about, nobody's talking about, and wait and see if that shine comes off the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, those Vaders are. I mean, the only thing that Luke has on it really is just not as scarce. The rare has the animation, but the Lukes are extraordinarily scarce.
The scarcity is what's helping it. What's funny about Luke Skywalker is you think, oh, it's the main character. He should be the most important hero, but that's not what people pay the most for, at least historically. Historically, people have paid the most for Darth Vader and Boba Fett. Do I know that that's going to be the case this time? I don't know that. It's probable that that's the case this time too, but I don't know that. Luke Skywalker has higher scarcity. However, I found in crypto what I do is when something's in the spotlight and the focus, I just wait. And sometimes the focus never really comes off of it. And so there doesn't open up that window. And that's okay. I missed it on that. There's plenty of opportunities. So if the focus never comes off of Luke Skywalker, but my guess is down the road, unless Vivi absolutely goes crazy, then I'll, in the next number of months, and I'll have missed it with Luke Skywalker. Because I won't have one. I don't chase green candles. I wait, and if the shine comes off of it and some new other shiny object comes out, people are dumping their Luke Skywalkers for that, which happens all the time. Please, guys, don't do that. Take my course so that you understand these cycles. Please take my course. It will save you so much money. The course is $199. There's a discount code if you go to my channel, watch any of the recent videos, that discount code will get you 50% off. Eventually that discount code will be taken away. So you can get it for half that. What that will save you is tremendous. Had I known what I knew, it would have saved me not thousands of dollars, but hundreds of thousands. And I would have made millions more my first full 4-year cycle. But you're always bad before you're good at something. Now, I was good at investing. I just didn't know the crypto cycles. I didn't know the crypto projects. I didn't know how to analyze higher probability versus lower probability. I was just new. And when you're new, you're always bad. Why? Because you're new. It's okay. My daughter gave me this quote. It's the funniest thing. She's like, I'm sorry I messed up. This is my first time at life. You're just bad before you're good, right? Yeah. And it's okay. So if you're smart, you take the time to get good. And there are lots of people who will not do that. They just bounce around for the emotional things and everything, and they waste this opportunity they have because they don't recognize it for what it is. Because I was so hungry for wealth when I was a kid because no money meant no options. And I was really popular at this one school when I was in 3rd grade. And my dad came home and he's like, we have to move to this other city. But Dad, I don't want to move to that other city. I know, but we have to. Well, why do we have to? Well, because my job is moving me. Well, why don't you leave your job and get one here? Well, because we don't have the money and I don't know how that would go. So we have to move. And I moved to this new school partly through the year. I became the most unpopular kid at the new school, from one of the most popular kids to nobody knows me. Nobody likes me. Life was hard. And I was like, F this. No money thing, F this no options thing. This sucks. And we were poor on top of that. And I make the joke that we were too poor for Kool-Aid, but it's not a joke because we couldn't buy Kool-Aid. We would buy the Flavor Aid packets and we would get 2 per month. And so it was our special treat that we would get one like every 2 weeks, and we would all get like a glass or 2 of Kool-Aid or Flavor Aid is actually what it was. And we were super happy because we had Flavor Aid. And so I thought, well, I would, at first I was bummed that I wasn't born into a rich family. And then I read The Millionaire Next Door and I realized that most of the people that are born into a rich family squander it. They squander the opportunities. They squander the connections and the network they have. And when they inherit their parents' wealth, they squander that within 2 years. And 80% of the rich today came from poor families. What does that tell you? tells you I'd rather be born poor than rich, because if you're poor, you have that chance for the hunger. And what does that hunger lead you to? It leads you to recognize the right information so that when you hear it, you'll know it's true and you will pursue that. And that's what it led me to. And so I found I had this burning desire to learn what the rich were doing. And I had this thesis that if I just do more of what the rich are doing, I will someday be rich. And wouldn't you know, it worked out. I had some failures along the way. Real estate investing, I was new before I was experienced. I made 2 big mistakes, a lot of great choices, 2 big mistakes. Sunk half my real estate portfolio in 2009, 2010. Well, shoot, the divorce took the other half and then some, and I had to start all over, and that's okay. By 2017, I was worth about negative $10,000, and I was a very happy man that I was no longer worth negative $300-something thousand. And then I found crypto, and I knew I was onto something special, though I didn't understand it yet, because you're always bad before you're good.
That's a good point. It's really hard to, I think when we're in childhood, in order to not always, but you need that little bit of trauma in order to be like hungry, to be successful, in order to drive you a little mad. Not all the way, but some. Because I'd imagine I've seen people that had a little too much trauma, and then they develop those really unhealthy coping mechanisms, and that hunger kind of turns to, immediately trying to satisfy that. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like me and you are kind of cut from that same cloth, where we do things so that we are never going to be destitute again. We will live and work 80, 90-hour weeks for months, if not years on end, in order to put ourselves in position so that doesn't happen again. But it's a little weird for a lot of people to understand. Well, some people are tired after their 40-hour weeks, which I get. Some people have harder jobs than others, but I don't know, to do that is very unorthodox. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, that hunger is irreplaceable, because it's that hunger that'll lead you to the right actions, that will lead you to the results. And what's amazing to me is in the United States and Canada, you have people that come in from a different country, and because they're from that different country where there's all these glass ceilings, they're all about a place that has no glass ceilings. And they come to America and they start out at an entry-level job making, say, $5 an hour, when the minimum wage is $11 an hour. And yet they work 60 hours a week, and they live off of half of what they make, and they take the other half and they save it, and they save it. And then they find a way to start accumulating assets. They also work really hard. They learn the language, they get promoted. And before you know it, they're a supervisor of all those privileged kids that were there, had all the opportunities, spoke the language perfectly, and yet their supervisor is an immigrant that's now in the country for 5 years, handles responsibility well, working well, and the kids are like, oh, well, that's unfair that Jose got promoted or whatever. Jose earned that promotion. Jose worked his butt off. Why? Because he realizes the opportunity that's before him, and he's not going to squander it. What I love about crypto is there were countries that unless you moved to America or Canada or Europe or something else, you had no opportunity, and that is no longer the case. If you can get access to the internet and to crypto, in fact, if you're in the US, you have less opportunity than a lot of countries there, because a lot have had to turn off access to US, while the current SEC hopefully continues to get smacked down by the courts. Because it's ridiculous, the position that Gary Gensler has taken. Gary Gensler now is taking completely different opinions than 2018 Gary Gensler, which tells you his positions are political, and why exactly we can only guess. I don't know if he's bought off by banks. I don't know if he's bought off by someone else. I don't know the reasons, but Gary Gensler of 2018 is different than the Gary Gensler of 2022 and 2023. And so that tells me something changed with him now that he's in this position, which means somebody got to him, and who that is and what they've offered him or why, I don't know. But the courts, thankfully, are not having anything to do with it, and XRP is not a security. Therefore, many other things are going to have a hard time classifying as a security. And now Cardano is way more likely to win this lawsuit, and all these other ones are way more likely to win against the SEC as not being securities. And then all of a sudden we have regulatory clarity. But while all that's being worked out, crypto is still under a cloud, and therefore things are still somewhat cheap. Why? Because the U.S. has the most wealth of any country in the world, and a lot of that wealth can't go into crypto yet, and it's dying to go into crypto. Do you want to be buying before all that wealth comes into crypto or after? Because I like buying cheap. Like I say it over and over again. And cheap happens when everything's boring, when the future is uncertain, when people are saying, OMI's dead, OMI's going to die. Even people with large YouTube channels and large followings that might have 400,000 YouTube subscribers are saying OMI's dead, and just realize just because they have 400,000 subscribers does not mean they know what they're talking about in this instance. That specific person I'm referencing, I actually really like him in a number of ways and don't understand how he could even make that assertion, because he should know better. He did. And so when OMI is 5 cents and 10 cents and 50 cents, I am going to tag him endlessly. Even beyond 2025, I will be in a beach, who knows where, maybe sailing in Greece. I'll have internet access. I'll open Twitter, and I'll just be like, wait, didn't OMI die in 2023? Why is it 50 cents now? I don't get it. And he'll be like, oh, F crypto rain. I hate this guy. He won't ever let me move past that. And it's like, no, I won't.
He's going to block you.
Yeah, he'll just block me, but then I will post the block message and tag everyone else around him and stuff. And so he's still going to face it, right? And I really like him, and I like his channel. Disappointed by that, but I love that he did that, because it gives me something worthwhile to talk about. Now, if he wasn't as smart as he is, it wouldn't be such a big deal. If he was just dumb, and he is not dumb. He has one of the coolest studios of anyone in crypto. And I actually enjoy, he's one of the few crypto people out there that does lots and lots and lots of project interviews, which are one of my favorites, because I want to see the people behind the projects. I want to hear them. I want to hear them address what's going on. And he's one of the few channels that does that, and I appreciate it. Part of the reason why I'll have so much fun with this is because he isn't dumb. There are lots of people running around making dumb arguments, and why pay them much heed? Their arguments are dumb.
I mean, there's an episode of House where he has to go, and thank you, Rethax, I love you. When he has to go and talk about, he's dealing with a genius, and he's like, hey, no one else can figure this out. I need to bounce ideas off you. And he's like, oh, are you going to cram 20 years of medical knowledge into me also? Basically saying that just because I'm a genius in one thing doesn't mean I'm a genius in another. It reminds me of when all of these analysts from wherever they're from, CNBC, Fox, whatever, talking about Tesla, and all these analysts that were supposedly really good at measuring out car companies, they get to Tesla and they're trying to value it as a car company, and they realize eventually that, hey, that's not really right. They're more of a software company that just happens to make cars. You have a lot of these other people that are viewing, let's say they're just in TA, they're just looking at the chart. Oh, there's no liquidity. This can go here or there. It's a dead chart. And if you don't pay attention to the news, and if you don't look at all the things that are going on and the building that's happening, and even the unofficial news that's not even talked about by, it wasn't, Vivi didn't post on their Twitter that, hey, we have an Alibaba partnership. That was just posted by David on Instagram. So if you don't have your ear to the ground to these things, you're not going to know exactly how to value the company, or especially the token that's attached to it. So that's really what a lot of people have to know. Like, there are not a lot of people that really know everything about the company, and that's fair.
Yeah, and following it closely, right? So specifically, I'm referencing Paul Barron Network, and I like him a lot. He comes from a computer science background and some other things, and he does use a sentiment indicator, and that gives him some software that scrapes Twitter to see what's trending and what's not. And he was seeing the trending score of Acomi go down from what it was. Part of the reason Acomi was on his radar is because it was one of the hottest things on Twitter. And so that's what brought it on his radar. And then he saw that going down with the FUD. And it was just frustration that there were massive technical delays. And it took them a long time to address that properly and to hire the right team so that they could bring things about in a systematic way. Cardano went through the same thing, which is why there was so much FUD in 2020. and legitimate concerns in 2020, although they addressed it and they were moving forward and it turned everything around. And Economi's going through that same thing. And so Paul probably saw the sentiment indicator continue to go down and he's like, okay, I'm out, which often leads people to jump out at the bottom, which is the silliest thing to me ever. Like my Axie Infinity investment, I put 4,100 into Axie Land, and for the next 18 months, it did nothing but go down. And then it didn't go down as much, and even it started going up by a little bit and up by a little bit. But it was 2 years before it was even worth again what I paid for it. And then over the next 6 months, it went 100x, and I sold. And then the following 5 months, it went up another 30x from where I sold at. And I was like, wow. Most people jumped out after 18 months. They were tired of waiting. This project's going nowhere. Nothing's happening. Blah, 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 blah. Sell. I didn't sell. I was too stubborn. I was like, I think I'm right on this. And they haven't failed yet, so I'm going to hold on. And that's what it takes. I did want to address Big A. He's super funny. He's like, I feel attacked as a rich, privileged kid from a wealthy family. What's interesting is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life business-wise actually came from a super wealthy family. I met him at the university. He graduated in ballroom dance, of all things. It's like, what kind of use is that? He was actually phenomenal at ballroom dance. He had been on Dancing with the Stars or something as a kid and won. Not Dancing with the Stars. It was the talent thing where they had these competitions. Anyway, he won as a kid. And he graduated. He's like, oh, what do I do with a degree in ballroom dance? I don't know, but I'm going to open this business. He went and he sold. Websites were big at the time, the internet boom. He went out and talked to about 50 people. He sold 4 people on website design. He came to me and he's like, hey, I just got 4 clients that need website design. I need to build 4 websites. Who do you know that can build websites? I was like, wait, you don't even know? No, but I did just take half up front from each of them, and I'm buying a book on web design. I don't know what to do. And so I connected him up with this guy I knew that was super good, and he delivered the websites to them pretty fast. And I actually did some work for him, and I was like, this guy is freaking a genius. But his parents made him work really, really hard. Yes, he always had maids and stuff, but they always gave him tasks. They always gave him chores, and they made sure he grew up hungry despite being in a wealthy family. I would say that that's the exception and not the rule.
Yeah, it's hard to become a complete person when you have everything. Like I know a couple of people that have had kids and they want to give them things that they didn't have so they didn't have to struggle, and they really overcompensated for that, and then it's just the kids are a little spoiled, and this is kind of sad to see because they come from brilliant families, brilliant minds, but a lot of them squander it away. So the fact that you knew someone that their parents had the foresight in order to raise the right way is really hard to do. So congrats to them on that. Also, you brought up Rathex before with Super Sticker. He also invested in Axie Infinity. He had also had he has a big mega city in Earth 2, same as I do. They're on my channel, link down below. And he's got Vivi and he's got OMI. He's got a big bag. I know Wes just said, didn't Andre Jig pay like $150,000 for like 15 million OMI? Around that, yeah. And I think he bought even a little bit more afterwards. So he has like 20 something million now, but and he's one of those people that, as an example, is like, I have my bag and it'll go up when it goes up. I would invest more. Do I think he should dollar cost average out here? Absolutely. How much? I don't know, because Jordan Riz put in, I think, like 13K like a month ago, and it rose like 8%. Like how do you try and buy something and you put in 5 figures and it raises like 6% just on that? It gets really hard. That's why I'm so confident this will go up like another 5%.
It's a blessing that the liquidity is so low, because when money starts coming in, it took so much money coming in for XRP to go up 80%.
Yeah.
If 1/10 of the amount of liquidity that was going into XRP came into OMI, it would take it to like a 70x from here, right? It would blow up like crazy because the market cap is much smaller and there's so little liquidity on it. Maxwell, thank you for the super chat. Beer money only. Love your work, Rain. Yo, Randy, I'm at 73 million now, baby. Let's heckin' go.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. That is life-changing money when the rains come.
Yeah.
Crazy Dan says, I'm going to get some more OMI this week. ERT2, I didn't ever buy ERT2. Randy went heavy on it. At the time, I didn't know enough about it. And, Randy's huge on it. I think it's got a good chance. But at the time, like, it seemed like they just took like Google Earth and they bought that and they put like $20,000 into developing their thing. And they were selling land and everything. And I was like, well, I don't know who the founders are. I wasn't finding videos on them. And I was like, I'm going to pass for now and watch it passively. What is interesting is this whole idea of land on the blockchain hasn't really taken off. And Axie Infinity land did really well. It's about the only thing that's done really well yet. Did exceptionally well. We don't even really know the use case of land on Axie Infinity. It's starting to roll out, or maybe it's rolled out now. I don't follow Axie all that closely because I don't chase green candles. That ship is already sailed. Why would I invest in Axie Infinity? Number one, I don't know if they'll be around in 10 years from now, and maybe they will because they actually are still profitable making money. But trying to shift a ship that big is like trying to turn the Titanic. I'd rather invest in something that's nimble and much leaner that can go 100x or 200x or 5,000x from here. And that's what I look for. Like as far as land, I'm in network. I do have some sandbox land that I got in the early days that I haven't sold yet. I have Illuvium land and a few other things. There's this one on the Solana, the Metamall, and a few other projects, cornucopias. So we'll see how they play out, but I think this idea of land will go crazy in this coming run. Blockchain gaming is going to go crazy, and it's going to be massive. And people don't even get it, but this concept will transform gaming completely, and you're seeing it with Counter-Strike Go. Counter-Strike Go, they're selling these boxes, these loot boxes, these crates, and they're selling massive numbers of them. Why? Because they created a marketplace where people can actually trade them. And so they might get this thing that's worth $13,000 and they can trade it. And for gamers, they're like, oh my gosh, this is what we've always wanted for. And they don't realize you don't truly own those items. If for some reason they think you're cheating and shut down your account, you're screwed. That $150,000 you put in those items that you're like, yeah, look how much money I've made. You haven't made it because you don't own those items and you're screwed. And there's no blockchain to export them to. There's no chance of having a blockchain to export them to. You are absolutely renting those items in their space and people don't realize it because there's zero true ownership. Now, some people will make the argument, well, isn't that the space that Vivi's in now too? Kind of, yes. But you're seeing that it is in that space. We hope at some point that you can export them to an external wallet, because if you get in trouble with Vivi, they can shut down your account too. But $30 billion has traded hands on Counter-Strike Go's items. $30 billion. Why? Because people chase green candles. Because it's been going up for a while. People have been talking about it and stuff. And this other stuff hasn't hit yet because everybody's ignoring crypto right now. Why? Well, because they don't understand buying when it's boring. They only understand chasing green candles because they run off the cliff like all the other lemmings. Because, my mentor used to say, if you want to get rich, and he was worth $200 million at the time. And to me, that was more money than anybody I'd ever met had. $200 million was like the end of the world money. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And he said, if you want to get rich in life, find out what 95% of the population are doing and don't do it. Do the opposite. And I wish it wasn't so simple, but it is. And so if 95% of the people aren't into crypto because it's boring and nothing's going on right now, but when things turn around, they run and flood into crypto like lemmings running off a cliff. Well, what if you just counter traded them? What if you just counter traded Jim Cramer on whatever, MSNBC or whatever he's on? And you just did the opposite of whatever he's saying, because he's got an amazing track record, almost an unparalleled track record of being consistently wrong. And so and he is talking about whatever the masses do. Why? Because his show is trying to get as many views. And so if you talk about what's already pumping and saying it's a buy when it's already pumping, you get more people coming in, tuning into you, because that gives them the confirmation bias they're looking for. I confuse a lot of people when I'm talking about something that's really hot and I say, oh, I'm selling at this price. It confuses them. They don't know how to interpret it. They're like, what? What's going on? Why is he selling? That's stupid. He should be buying more. I was at the Bitcoin conference in 2021, and this guy is telling me about the most amazing opportunity he's ever come across in his life. He had gotten together with a bunch of investors he knew that had some money, put $2 million together to buy some land on Axie Infinity, and how Axie Infinity was going to do the greatest thing in the world. And Mystic plots at the time were the floor on them were 40 to 50,000. Well, I had been buying Mystic plots for $70 3 years prior, or 2.5 years prior. I had actually just finished my last sale prior to meeting him of all my Mystic plots and other things. And he was telling me when I was like, yeah, I just sold the rest of my stuff. He's like, wait, what? Why would you? No, this is the most amazing opportunity ever. And everybody's doing it. And I was like, yes. And that's what I sell into. And he was confused. And you know what? I haven't seen him or heard of him in the crypto space since. Why? Because he bought, like everyone else, all the other lemmings running off the cliff at the top. Even Andre Jick did. And I have tons of respect for Andre Jick. He's actually one of my favorite investing channels. But he just didn't know crypto and he didn't know the cycles. And so he bought OMI, which was smart of him to become aware of OMI. He just didn't understand the cycles and timing yet. And he bought 250,000 in right at the top. But he's smart. He's really smart. And what did he do? He held on to it. He's now somewhat learned about the cycles, and he's starting to talk about crypto right now. Why? Because he gets it. And he knows it's setting up for a massive run, and it's going to be huge. And he's trying to make his audience aware of it before the massive run happens. And he's not the only one. BlackRock, you're seeing all these setups. BlackRock, Andre Jick gets it. Other people are going to start talking about crypto. And then it starts building this base, and then you get more people coming in. And they make 5x gains, and then they tell all their friends, and their friends come and pile in, and they throw in even more than their friends did, because they're like, I got to catch up to where they're at. And they put $5,000 in, and now they're at $25,000. So I'm going to come in and throw $25,000 in so I can try to catch up to where they're at. And then it goes exponential some more, and it might go 7x from there. And then everybody they know piles in like crazy, mortgaging houses and stuff to buy into crypto. And if you're not selling, then you will regret it. Because when you see that kind of stuff happening and people massively piling in, people doing crazy things to get more crypto because everybody is doing it, sell. Take profits. Get out of a lot of your positions. Why? Because these parabolic moves don't last for forever. And yeah, I'll be one of the few people, Randy too, will be one of the few people saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We knew this would happen. I'm selling. And it'll confuse a lot of new people coming in because they'll have heard of it. And they're just certain because there's this weird thing in the human condition called not confirmation bias, recency bias. They assume that what's been happening is what's going to continue to happen. So if things have been cheap, they assume it's going to continue to be cheap. If things have been going up and gone up 10x over the last 6 months, what do they assume? There's going to go up another 10x over the next 6 months, maybe even much more. And there's this recency bias that absolutely wrecks 95% of the people that come into crypto. And so that's why it takes some education. It takes some retraining, some thinking. It takes conscious effort. And so when I was thinking about things in 2020, I was like, okay, so and in order for me to make massive, massive gains, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm not able to reach the projects. What if I started a crypto channel? What if I started teaching people how to think this way, and I created a community of people that think this way? Well, okay, if I did create a crypto channel and taught people how to think differently, they're almost going to need a community, because otherwise they'll get overwhelmed by the 95% of people that are going to be telling them to do the wrong things at the wrong times, unless I create some kind of community that will buffer them a little bit from it. So I kind of had this idea, I'm going to start a channel, and if we get big enough, we can get good guests on. Secondly, I'm going to create a community on Telegram. I created a Discord community that then is gated. That, you know, access starts from $19, $19.99 a month, which gives you access to the Discord. That's where the very best chat is and the most committed people are. So that there's a place where they can have informed discussions without all the chaff of people that don't know what they're talking about. Because what's so interesting to me about people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, they're never going to pay $20 a month to get access to a Discord group where people do know what they're talking about. For whatever reason, they won't. And this idea came to me because I used to throw parties for free when I was single, and I lived in this big house with a bunch of roommates that had this $150,000 backyard that was amazing, with like 3 fire pits and a pool and a diving platform and waterfall and a 15-person hot tub. And I'd throw these big parties and I'd throw them for free. But then you would have these people come that were kind of creepers, and you'd have people that would just come and complain the whole time. And I was thinking, how do I solve this? And I started charging $20 for the parties, and I bought a bunch of food. So I didn't even make money on it still, but it wasn't about the money. That filtered away all the chaff, all the negative Nellies that would come and just for some reason be there and complain. And it brought all the good people that I wanted.
It's really, I don't want to say hard. It is hard to keep your circle close. I do want to address that. They did just hire another team for, I don't know if I can say where it is right now. They hired another, I don't know how big they are. They're in a part of the world where I don't want to say it doesn't matter what time it is, but they can have good relations for people in the East and good relations for people in the West. I'll just leave it at that. They'll probably tell us officially at some point. And but yeah, I'm super confident on it. And it's not like they're replacing who was there. Like, you still have Puddin' Cheeks, you still have Reese, you still have all the other people that were still working on it. This is just to add to them. This is like their blockchain team. So I'm pretty excited. And again, that is separate from the Vivi stuff. That is separate from Viviverse. Cavernous is building that out. When we go and we get that stuff done, I mean, we should get beta this. A good amount of people will get Viviverse beta this quarter. How many? I don't know, but I'm excited for that. I think after San Diego Comic-Con, which is this week, got a few announcements for that today. They might start adding people to the Viviverse beta, so that'll be fun.
I'm just texting a friend that is a good friend, and he asked me to call him, and so I'm just texting him that I am still delayed because I'm really.
Oh, we got that time. We're at like the 2-hour mark right now.
Well, I don't mind going longer, and the audience is still here. We've got 101 people watching live, so I'm like,
so you mentioned land,
time.
And you said you had land in Sandbox and Alluvium. Yeah. So, and here's what, again, I feel like people don't get. You have people like, you have big names. You have like Nas, Lil Baby, Paris Hilton, Snoop Dogg in Sandbox. So you have some big names on there already. In the same way that you had the Star Wars guru guy, he's got like 500,000 followers on TikTok, like 1 million followers on YouTube, talk about cryptoids. You had iJustine, who's been relevant for like almost 3 decades now, late 2000s, early 2010s, and now 2020s, couple million followers on Twitter, talk about cryptoids. And how much of that translated to sales, I don't know. But you have these big names in the real world talking about Sandbox, and Decentraland, they still don't have that many users. Vivi still already outpaces them with 0 in marketing. That's what I love about Vivi, very similar to Tesla, where they haven't marketed, they're still making millions each month. And it's not just them. You have Janine Yorio, who's CEO of Every Realm, that had up until recently the most amount of land in Sandbox, and that'll probably do okay. Just, it's a metaverse company, it's already has its crypto out. But the fact that Vivi can go on and they could say, hey, here's our IP branded worlds. We don't know what they are yet. We don't know which companies have signed on. We don't know which companies are that they can and can't use, but they're going to have their Vivi specific IP. They're going to have whoever else, I don't know. We're really hoping that we would at some point get, if not outright Disney, maybe like Marvel, maybe Fox, maybe Star Wars, Universal, whatever. Cavernous has worked with Disney before, but you have Terra Virtua, where they had, I don't think anyone outside of Web3 knows who they are, and they raised what, $70 million in a bear market. Everyone and their sister knows who Disney are. Everyone and their sister knows who all these other people are. If Vivi wants to go and sell some of their land, which I will sell some OMI for, or use some OMI to buy that land, they could do what is essentially worth $150 million worth of OMI being burned in order to go for that land. You could literally have almost the entire market cap of OMI being burned just for this land. People will go and they'll buy it. The price will rise, but then they'll go and use it for this land. Because after OMI's already done a 10x, Can OMI do 100x on top of that? Sure, if it, it can go to 60 cents from 0.6 cents. But I think that at that point, after OMI's does a 10x, it's easier for the land to do 100x than it is for OMI. So at that point, kind of roll over your gains from one thing to the other. Obviously, not all land is created equal, but that's my take on it. I'm super excited for where that goes. And we might not get the land buying until next year, but you'll see other stuff teased, and we'll have other stuff rolling out before the end of this year.
Yeah, Terra Virtual Collect, that's an interesting project. I remember it came out about the same time Vivi had their app out, but they just didn't have the intellectual property that Vivi had, right? So they had some decent stuff, like they had Top Gun helmets and they had these other helmets. And so they've had to modify. And I was talking to their CEO at the Cardano conference because they moved over to the Cardano blockchain, which was a really smart thing that they did. And I was talking to him and I was like, look, here's your challenge. How many people do you have super passionate about your project? Look at Vivi. They've got people that have dedicated channels to it, and it all happened like on its own. And I said, so you have to find a way to get people so excited about what you're doing that they start spawning YouTube channels on it. And there are some things that you can do to encourage that, but you have a ways to go. Moving over to Cardano was one of the smartest decisions you could have made. And I do think it helped save them. Well, they still have a ways to go, and they don't even have close to the intellectual property that Vivi does. And so Vivi, hopefully their Vivi verse comes together well. I don't know what the plans are. I was super excited about the metaverse idea 4 years ago, and I still am, but the current implementations of it aren't right. So Decentraland and Sandbox, they're boring as hell. Now, Sandbox is adding some gamification right in it, which is smart, and Decentraland has some. It just doesn't have, I don't know that Decentraland has enough to make it interesting enough. Sandbox might become interesting enough that it has staying power. Might is the word. Am I buying Sandbox? No, the market cap is already so high. There's so much hype about it. I'm looking for something that is over-fudded because the pendulum swings too far to the downside. And yes, Sandbox token is down. But I remember when Sandbox token was like 2.5 cents. And maybe it was even cheaper than that. It might have been less than a penny. And OMI's token is massively, massively, massively down from its previous highs. And they haven't rolled out utility yet, which is the curve that I'm hoping for, right? The pendulum swings too far to the bottom because everyone gets frustrated because there's still no utility. So the token gets dumped and dumped and dumped, and there's people like me and Randy, and we're like, thank you, bye. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. What are you doing? I'm like, they're like 95% of people are not doing that. And I'm like, thank you for the confirmation. That is exactly the words I wanted to hear. Bye. What are you doing? Only 5% of people are doing what you're doing. I'm like, yes, thank you. I am right on this. I knew it. Thank you for the confirmation, though. I appreciate it. And then it swings around and it goes massively up. And those same people will be like, why are you selling? Well, because I went up 50x and I don't know how far it's going to keep going. Maybe it'll go another 2 or 3 or 5x from here. I'm going to start taking profits. They're like, that's so stupid. 95% of people are buying now. I was like, oh no, maybe I need to sell more. Okay. And, it's funny to talk about this, but this is what it is. Like, I know it's unfortunate because when I was doing crypto in 2017, I thought everyone around me was going to be rich. And it doesn't play out that way. Most bought in, and then when it went really high, they bought even a lot more, and they got wrecked. And I got wrecked. I put 15,000 in, went to 165,000, and by like later 2018, it was worth $3,000. And my wife's looking at me, and she's like, "Are you going to give up on crypto now?" And I was like, "Hell no. It's cheap." Yeah, but look how much money you lost. Exactly. Things are down. I'm going to buy. What are you talking about? Nobody's doing that. I know. Thank you. You're right. And I stuck around, and I had a day job, and I would work, and I'd come home, and I would study and research crypto for 4 to 6 hours a night. And my wife's like, "You're obsessed with this." And I'm like, "I know. It's the greatest thing you'll see." And you know what? In 2021, she just couldn't believe it. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." She still doesn't even understand crypto. She doesn't know what's going on. She thinks it's magic internet money. She's still like the old school of like real estate has value and jobs have value and stuff, and doesn't understand what I do every day. She's like, I see you on the internet. I sometimes seeing you play video games. What do you do every day? And I'm like, truth is, I do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, but blockchain gaming is the future. So all that time when you do see me playing video games, that's actually research. What am I playing? I'm playing Illuvium to get where that's going. Other blockchain games, sometimes even traditional games. I'm really disappointed in myself, though. I really hoped I could play video games for about 60 hours a week during the bear market to really get a good baseline of where blockchain gaming is going to go. And I found it about 20, 25 hours a week. I can't play any more video games than that. I just can't. When I was a kid, I didn't have a problem. But after 20, 25 hours of video games a week, like my brain just is like, you're done. And I'm like, okay, I'm done.
You need some Adderall.
Well, I need some Adderall. I did start a TikTok and having fun with that and trying to think of creative ways to build an audience with TikTok, because we're trying to save people from themselves. And that takes work, and it's hard to get attention, because when everything's low and you're telling people buy when it's low, they almost don't get it. So I'm thinking, how else do I make this argument? How do I get people's attention? And the truth is there's 0% chance that 50% of the people out there will even listen, because they're used to being a sheep. And you'll try to say, yes, but be a lion. And they'll be like, bah. Okay, there's nothing I can do with you. But I'm convinced that the other 50%, their minds are open enough that if you just tell them the right things in the right way, it'll crack that door open further, and they will be open to the information they've really been looking for. I can't say that that's true. I know certainly 5 to 10% of the people absolutely get this when they hear it, because they know it rings true, because they've already been working down that journey. And I believe most of you guys in this chat are in that 5 to 10% already. I think at night, I lay at night thinking, okay, we're in this magical timing, the kind of timing that's like the most perfect. The bottom is likely in. Who knows? Maybe we wick down, but probably the bottom's mostly in. We're on this climb up. How do I get more people's attention on this? Because it will change their lives, and it will go towards my greater goal, which is my goal has never been to have the biggest YouTube audience in crypto. My goal has been to have the wealthiest per capita audience in crypto. But I need some more help getting there, because getting over 100,000 subscribers, I can have any guest I want on. At 21,000 some subscribers, I can have some guests on, but 100,000 subscribers, I can get every guest on. I'd love to get the CEO of Myria on. I have talked to him, had a video call with him. It was amazing. Might be because I invested 105,000 into their project in the early days in the pre-sale for their nodes. And I was supposed to meet with this CMO, and he's like, oh, I can't meet with you. Speak to Jonathan on our team. I was like, who's Jonathan? And he's like, oh, yeah, someone on our team. He wouldn't tell me it was the CEO, right? And so I talked to this guy, Jonathan. I was like, who is this guy I'm talking to? He's so freaking brilliant. I can tell within 2 minutes this guy's calm, collected, and brilliant. For whatever reason, I've been able to sense extreme levels of intelligence. And then I start Googling him while we're talking. I'm trying to pretend I'm not typing or anything. And then I'm like, Jonathan Teo, and I'm reading all this bio on him, serial entrepreneur, like 18 different companies, comes from the billionaire Teo family. And Jonathan's already invested in several things that have gone massively big. And I asked him the question, why video games? He's like, the truth is, I've loved video games my whole life. I love video games. As a kid, I played a lot. I played less these last number of years, but I've always wanted to do something in gaming, and blockchain has brought that opportunity that the timing is right. I was like, I like that answer. Okay.
I'm a fairly casual gamer, and I would say that all of a lot of what made me successful was really hyper focusing on things as a kid, like Pokemon. I really did really well in Pokemon, and I feel like, and a lot of men, you get older, you don't necessarily grow up as much as I think women would like us to. As I still love video games, I still love cartoons, I still watch a bunch of anime, and we're not alone. Like other guys like to do that stuff as well. And I think that as people go and get a little bit more money and they have a little bit more time and they're able to now that you're older and you have a little bit more money and you have the time to do these things, it's not outside the realm of possibility to go and see someone casually spend $5,000 or $10,000 on things, on games. I mean, there was this one video, I don't know if you saw it on TikTok. I want to talk to you about that as well. Moving on TikTok. It was this kid that had spent his parents' like life savings, like $45,000 on a game, and the dad's just like beating them, and this is being recorded from like across the room. But that type of thing will happen. You've seen it with like World of Warcraft. You've seen it with other stuff. What type of content do you typically do on TikTok? Because the content that I do on TikTok is like wildly different from the content that I put on YouTube.
So I'm just starting, and so I don't know TikTok very well. I have a lot of research to do on it. I'm just taking sometimes some of my intro clips from these. Sometimes I'm doing videos specifically. I did one with Mr. Burns that got shadow banned with Gary Gensler, and then went back and forth with Mr. Burns because they look the same. And and then so someone who's helping me, they put the SCC instead of SEC. So they went ahead and like put that private anyway, and they're going to redo it and put the SEC in it. And we'll see if maybe, I don't know why it got shadow banned, but like it had 0 viewers after 2 hours. And I was like, what the heck? But it's kind of funny, you know, just making fun of how Gary Gensler totally looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. And it seems like their motives are similar too, from best I can tell. And so making that correlation seemed like it'd be one that'd be funny on TikTok, but just trying to find creative ways. And I don't know, I'm new at TikTok. I'm used to long form content that is educationally minded, right? So some people do a better job being entertaining on this, which is okay. That's fantastic. A lot of people turn to YouTube for entertaining. If I could find a way to be educational and better entertaining, I would love to. But for me, my focus is educational. My focus is share with people these principles so that those that are willing to do things differently than the 95% can have the amazing results that's there for them to have. By the way, it was one of the people asked about DJ, and Rich said, Rain, what's the Patreon link? I'll support. That is in, if you go to any of my any of my long-term videos, you should have the link in there on the Crypto Rain channel. Also, the course is in any of the newer things. I did just finish the course like a week ago. So it's only on the stuff from a week and more recent. Jimbo Lilingo, what's up, brother? Hello, Master Crypto Rain and Master Randy. Thank you for that.
I love him. He's great. Deadly's great too. Thank you, All Chat Gaming, for the super chat.
Fortnite is some research, and it is where blockchain gaming is going to go.
I mean, most of what Immutable X brings on, I feel like they have announcements every week of new people that are going on their blockchain.
Yeah.
If OMI wasn't a thing, like if OMI didn't exist, I feel like a lot of my funds would go into Immutable X because I don't know how much token unlocks they have left. I know that was a reason why I didn't want to go invest them part of it. Do you know, are you familiar with them? Like intimate?
I'm extremely familiar with them. In fact,
when did the token unlocks happen?
I invested in Immutable X before Immutable X was Immutable X. I invested in Gods Unchained, which was backed by Coinbase, and I invested in them in 2019. The problem that Gods Unchained ran into in 2020 is DeFi summer happened, and each transactions went from 12 cents, anywhere from 2 cents to 12 cents, and went to $5 and then $50 and $100 for an ETH transaction. So Gods Unchained, which was all traded on the Ethereum chain, was like, oh crap, so they put together a team of people to develop Immutable X so they could move Gods Unchained over to Immutable X. So therefore, having been an investor in the Genesis launch of the Immutable X cards, I got airdropped 20,000 Immutable X plus some Gods tokens. And let's take a look. I'm going to bring up their chart. I do like them a lot, and they're one of my better projects that I like. So it's on log scale. So if you take it off log scale, so I got airdrop my tokens somewhere around here, and I did go ahead and sell them because I realized with the vesting they were going to get crushed. Yeah. And I think I bought a little bit in. I have a lot more to buy, and they're easy because you can buy them on Coinbase these days. So you can buy them right on Coinbase, or internationally, you can buy them on Binance and KuCoin. So they're on all the good exchanges already. What I look at when I'm reviewing projects, first thing I look at is what is their market cap and what is their fully diluted market cap. This tells me what percentage of their tokens are in circulation. Another place you can see that is here. So about half their tokens are in circulation and half haven't been in circulation yet, because as more tokens come into circulation, it usually puts downward pressure on the price. So it's important to understand what kind of downward pressure on the price there might be. Now, when you get vesting during a bear market plus the bear market, the price gets crushed and the pendulum swings too far to the downside, which is good because we like buying cheap and not expensive, right? So the lows were 38 cents, and I did cover them in this. I was like, anything below 50 cents on Immutable X is ridiculously good. And then it popped up and went crazy to $1.50, and then it's back down at half that price. And I would say, I don't know that it'll get below 50 cents again. It's starting to be a really, really attractive price. Anything below 80 cents is amazing for the future. Its market cap is higher, but Immutable X is making lots of good decisions. I don't understand why Immutable X wouldn't have a market cap of over 20 billion in the coming bull run, and maybe much higher than that. Maybe they don't. I just don't understand why it won't go to at least that with the things that they're doing and the actions that they're taking. And that would put it at least 20x from here. Now, some people are like, well, some of these companies like Ford only have a market cap of this. And so why would some crypto project have a bigger market cap? And you're thinking rationally. You're thinking the same thing people were thinking when they were trying to figure out if Tesla could go up in value any more than it was. And they said, no, it's impossible. Its market cap is too big. It'll never go up from here. And then that year it went 7x. 7x for a stock is like a crypto project going 700x. Yeah. Because like it doesn't happen that a traditional company goes 7x in 1 year, and yet it still happened. And so they're correlating market caps with crypto tokens to market caps of projects, and they're not the same thing. It does depend on what are the tokenomics behind things, but you get panic buying in, you're getting massive worldwide adoption coming. And as that happens, market caps will become way less relevant than they probably should be. And so the pendulum will swing too far to the upside, at which point you want to be selling, not buying. And then they'll, once again, swing too far to the downside.
Yeah, they, like I said, I really like them. I thoroughly enjoy what they're doing just for the space in general. Thank you all, Chat Gaming. But like I said, they're already a $1.4 billion market cap. OMI does a 10x. I think they're around that, right? I think they get to around that. I think they're like 180 billion right now. So if you go and you take a look at all of the potential ROIs for them, I mean, they're good. Like I said, if OMI didn't exist, I'd buy a bunch of them. But they, I don't know, OMI's already, before we were on any exchanges, before we had Marvel or Disney, they went from, I think, quad 0.6 to 0.012 in like 3 weeks. And then, and this is before all the major partnerships we have. So I'd say it's very easy to do that again.
The kind of momentum that hits as the rains come in. And what was interesting to me about OMI and always stuck with me is there's something special about it. Because in the last bull run, there were lots of things going up. And OMI went up crazy. And what's interesting is there's this meme coin phenomenon that these meme coins that have no real utility to them. And some people say, oh yeah, they have utility because some of it goes towards some kind of charity, or, oh, they have utility because they burn a certain percentage of it. But there's no real utility and there's no hope of utility. It's just, hopefully the number goes up, but it's not connected to a real project that's solving real world items. It's just some kind of gambling coin, right? So Pepe, in my opinion, is a gambling coin. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make gambling. The reliability is just too low to be interesting to me. And yet, OMI, that didn't have a use case rolled out yet, but they had a good plan for what the use case would be. And they had some of the best intellectual property in digital collectibles at the time of any projects. Batman, that was a really big deal in those days. Nobody was getting massive IP. Batman with DC Comics, even if it was just black and white Batman, was some of the largest IP out there in the whole space. It was a really, really big deal. And so what's interesting is it got all kinds of people's attention, almost hitting meme coin status while having real world functionality. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Their app is amazing. The price just went absolutely crazy, like 300x. So I'm not going to touch the OMI token. I'm going to focus on these collectibles that are still at market prices, that are at release prices. I'm going to buy those. But unfortunately for me, like 2 of the Batmans from Series 1 or Season 1 were already sold out. So I had to just focus mostly on the Todd McFarlane one, which was the one that made the most sense to me. Comey Skywalker, thank you so much for the super sticker, brother. And All Chat Gaming, Randy, shout you out. Thank you guys. So yeah, it was buying the collectibles and everything, but OMI like has this power to capture the hearts and minds of people in almost a magical way. Think of how many people dedicated full channels to Comey. Now, yes, half of those people have gone away. Why? They weren't emotionally prepared to understand how these cycles work.
Everyone comment F down below to pay respects. And
yeah, comment what down below?
I said comment F down below to pay respects.
Yes.
No longer here.
Say we love you. We'll see you again when all the massive gains come in. We'll be happy to see you. We'll be sad that you missed out on massive, massive gains, unless you were smart and at least kept your positions. Because what happens is they do come back. Notice in the history, BitBoy actually got into crypto in 2013. What did he do? He left. Why? Because he didn't know about crypto winters. BitBoy then came back in 2017 and then is like, I'm starting to understand these cycles. Now, he is one of my favorite influencers from the standpoint of actually this last year. He used to actually drive me nuts in 2017, 2018. I couldn't even watch him because he was negative to the audience, and I don't understand why. I would never, never, never take his recommendation on a single project. That's not why I like him. I do think he was awesome for calling out Sam Bankman-Fried before anyone else was doing it. And he was dead right on that. And that was awesome. Good job, BitBoy. But a lot of people are like that. They come in and then they leave and then they come in. And this time they might be ready to get it. Though if you're here now, you already get it. Half the battle is won. The question is, are you taking the right actions? And I hope so. Squeeze your expenses. I remember Randy and I were on a stream. This might have even been the one from a year ago or something. And someone's like, well, Randy, if you're so smart, why are you living in such a cheap apartment? And I was like, because he's so fucking smart. Are you kidding me?
I love that question. It shows me one of 2 things. Either suggests or confirms that you don't understand the space yet. Thank you, Comey Skywalker. Or that you're impatient and you don't have that delayed gratification. I distinctly remember it's like 2018. I was 27. I was looking for another place, and I go to ask this girl that I had known. I was like, hey, I'm leased up on this apartment, had it for almost a year. I'm looking for another place. And they were cool, and they also grew up relatively well. Like, I'll just sleep on your couch, because I wasn't making videos at that time. I was going to work. I was really just coming home to eat and sleep. And the other person that was with us, like, and like, because I said, like, I'll show you like bank statements, like I can 100% pay, whatever. And like, well, if you're making so much, why wouldn't you get like a 2-bedroom where you have like a guest room, you have this? And I was like, that takes away from what I can put into the business. That takes away from all, I have to take away from my aging receivables, and I have to, use that and pay myself. And I don't want to do that. And yeah. I will start to take profit. I think when it reaches maybe like, when it does a 10x at 006, I'll probably start. I think at that point I'll actually be a millionaire again if I don't sell, and that's just with OMI, not including any of the Vivi NFTs or when Earth 2 launches, or if Grumpy Cat goes to the moon, or 4chan, who knows. Maybe I'll sell 10 million there. I want to have long term. I want to have 100 million by the time I reach $1. But I think by the time we reach 1 cent, I would like to get down to 150. And then if we go past like maybe 130, if we get to 10 cents, if we go to like 20 or 30 cents, I have no problem dipping down below 100 million, going down to like 80 million OMI. And then if we go to 50 cents, go down to 50, because like, nothing rises forever. Like, you do have to have pullback, especially in that next bear market. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just rebuy a lot if we go down. I don't know if we'll go down another 80% in that next bear market, or 90% again, but go down by half, what would do that?
So some people don't get opportunity cost, and because my mind's always thought economics, when at the university I took an economics class, I loved it. I loved it, and I was like, my brain has thought this way my whole life. And some people are bored by it, but my wife is like, you've always talked about buying a really nice truck that's like super souped up and it's lifted and lights under it and all this stuff. Why don't you buy it? You can afford it now. And I was like, because it's not worth $3 million to me. And she's like, what are you talking about? $3 million. It only cost you about $150,000. Yep. $150,000. What else could I do with that $150,000? I could invest it smart and turn it into $3 million if I'm really lucky, much more than that. So I'm not ready for that kind of expense for a truck yet. When I'm ready to forego $3 million for a $150,000 truck, then I'll do it. And this next cycle, I'll be ready for that, right? So I was talking to my sister and she's like, oh, what are you going to do and stuff? And I was like, well, I'm going to be pretty vain because I've got a lot of delayed gratification. I've waited and waited and I've been patient and I've saved my pennies and everything. And I've cut my expenses and I've lived pretty cheap. When you're married, you can only live so cheap. When you have kids, you can only live so cheap, right? Unfortunately, that does change your life. So if you can delay that while you're building your fortune, it does help tremendously. Because you can live cheap by yourself. It's real easy to cut your own expenses. Really hard when you have a wife and family because the wife will not usually get it. The kids might somewhat get it depending on the kids. And so there are still things that you can do. But I was like, this next one, I'm going to have like anywhere from a $3 to $5 million house probably. I'm going to have a big 14-car garage. I'm going to have my office in the garage. And I'm sometimes going to shoot my videos. And I'm going to have my cars in there, and I'm going to have a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and I'm going to have a car for every day of the week. And the license plate's going to be Monday on one of them, and Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday. And guess what? The Thursday car, I'm only ever going to drive on Thursdays. And people will be like, oh, that's so weird. It's Thursday, and his license plate says Thursday. And then they'll on a different day, they'll be like, oh, it's Monday, and his license plate says Monday. That's so weird. And they'll be like, why are you doing that? That's so wasteful. And I'd be like, I know. And I don't care. Why am I doing it? Because it makes me happy and it makes me smile. And, and I'll have the big truck that I can drive on whatever days, and the Lamborghini and Ferrari, just drive them occasionally on whatever days, right? And it'll just be fun. And why do it? Well, because I can. Because of all that delayed gratification finally paid off. And I just wanted to do stupid, fun things that are just fun. And why not make some goals like that in your life? You can achieve them. Why not have those fun things to look forward to? Because they will drive you. Because it's hard work to get there. People think that it's going to be easy. They're going to buy into some meme coin tomorrow and it's going to go up 70x and then they're going to make money and then they'll be rich. And I knew this really, really wise 23-year-old. It helped that he was mentored by a billionaire. And he said, my billionaire friend used to say to me, if you make $1 million, exactly. See, say you sell a business for $1 million and you have $1 million and you buy a pack of bubble gum. With part of that $1 million, are you a millionaire anymore? No, you're not. So it's not just making some money. It's then investing it so that you get residual income or passive income coming in where you can get, because true wealth isn't $1 million. True wealth is $25,000 a month or more for the rest of your life. Because whether you're in the United States or wherever, that will change your life. Okay, so in order to get to that kind of passive income, you need to grow your wealth, and not just $1 million unless you're in actually a really impoverished country. $1 million invested in different things that say 5 or 6% a year, you'll live well for the rest of your life. But in the US and Canada and Europe, you need 5 million or 10 million, or really a great number, 40 million. Pay your taxes on it and then invest at 5%, some things at maybe 6 or 7%, some things at 3% that are really secure. And then you're making passively $25,000 a month, $50,000 a month. You're living really well if you're making $250,000 a month passively, because then you are truly rich. Then you are truly wealthy.
I would.
And be careful who you marry.
It's also true. And that's and I don't want to get super blue or anything. So I do have this fear of losing it all. I've come too far now to go and mess it all up by doing something stupid. And not the getting married stupid. Apparently, that's one of the greatest things you can do is to have kids, and those relationships can be your most important relationships when you're older. I've just, I don't know, like the heartbreak, like the eventually someone's gonna die, and I don't like that. I don't like it when dogs die. So I don't have any dogs. When I broke up with my last girlfriend last year, I was like, I'm never going through this again, and I haven't since. Partly because I really don't want to, and that also clouds your judgment. I remember going through that on the day that Darth Vader dropped, and I was like, I'll just sell this for like $800, and then it goes like 2,800. It's like, if I was clear-headed, I would not have made that move. Preservation of capital is key, and like you said, when you have something like even like putting into T-bills, going into do that, something that's super safe. You do that almost unlimited. You do that for any amount of time. That's one of the things that's recommended if you like win lotto and you don't know what to do. Hey, just put in a bunch of treasury bills. Even though you're making a super small amount, it is super safe. By the way, Powerball I think is like almost $1 billion now, so we should put in a couple hundred on that.
I don't like my odds, right? So it's like, here's my problem with gambling in general, and my problem with meme coins is the odds are against you. Can you make tremendous money winning the lottery? Yes, you can. It's just the odds are against you. When you have something like investing, so real estate is a great way to go from zero to rich in 30 years. Crypto is the only way I've ever seen to possibly go rich from zero to hero in 4 years, but more likely 8 years. That's enough time if you're doing the right things. And if you're around for 8 years and you're learning from the right people, I don't know why you wouldn't be doing the right thing. So that in an 8-year period, I don't know how you could screw it up if you're learning from the right people and not become rich in that time. But if you are doing the wrong things, it doesn't matter that you're in the space for the right time. You're doing the wrong things. It won't work. So you have to learn to do the right things. But then 8 years is more enough time to become super rich. But the odds are with you because there's this massive technology shift. Web3, it unlocks cryptocurrency and blockchain, unlocks things the internet could not do previously, which is unlocking this new wave of efficiency, this new wave of things. I like blockchain gaming because it'll put more money into gaming than could have ever been there possibly before, with people building, say, shipbuilding companies within a space game. So you have companies within games, which is developed by a different company, building things, making positive revenues within someone else's games. It'll attract more money to the space than ever thought possible. We're seeing just a glimpse of that with Counter-Strike Go having had $30 billion transacted within that. And I think they have a 15% marketing fee, like as you exchange things, which is ridiculous.
Oh,
and you don't have true ownership. And yet even still, people are so enamored with this idea of partial ownership that it's so preferable to trapped ownership where you can't even sell the things that you own. So they're going the right direction. They're not even there yet. Going to like a free and open market that you can capture value and trade it is where gaming is going to go. And as it does, you'll take something that's like a I don't even know what the recent numbers are on how big the gaming space is. And it will add like massive nitro to the fire, and it will just go absolutely crazy because the amount of value that will be exchanged in there will be massive. And that's just one of the areas where blockchain is unlocking things that couldn't have been there before blockchain.
Agreed. So, I mean, you have so many people that even just the microtransaction stuff that in Viviverse that you don't need, like something that is not for an investment, just like, hey, here's a Vivi plant, here's Vivi toilet paper, here's a Vivi towel. Or even if it's something that it doesn't need to have Vivi on it, it could just be something Vivi, and they could just do random designs. Here's like a bunny. My friend Meg, instead of just buying a normal towel for her stove for like $2, she buys 2 towels, a little extra flair on it. She has a bunny from the front point of view and a bunny from the back point of view on the towels. People do that stuff. People pay $2 for a space crab in Among Us so it can follow you around, or to have a toilet paper hat. That's one of the coolest things, the simplest things that you could do in Pokemon. When Pikachu followed you around, it was great. They took it away until Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then the Pokemon followed you around again. Everyone rejoiced. So if you could just have a little, even just VV letters. Oh, you do a certain set of tasks, and it costs OMI to do so. You get a V following you around. You get an E following you. Just get those letters following you around. So you've completed this game. You've completed this quest. There's so much that you can do. There's so many different takes. I do have to hop off. I do have to go on another call a little bit. So anything that you want to go to talk about beforehand?
Well, you are the king of alpha and early alpha. Anything you've learned over the past week or 2 weeks that you can share?
Yes. Okay. Well, no. So I'll say this. We're signing new licenses, which is great. Don't discount just because someone is with something else. Let's say I'm a New York Giants fan, and then the Giants piss me off, and I go be a New York Jets fan. That doesn't mean I'll be a New York Jets fan forever. There is a decent chance that I will switch sides and I'll be like, hey, I don't like what the Jets are doing, and I want to go back to being a Giants fan. And that's what I'll leave there. If you want, yeah. Let's talk off camera for like a minute too.
Okay. Cool.
I would say that, and then dig deep into. David, you mentioned Alibaba, and all the fudders are like, "Oh, it's just Alibaba Cloud Services." Okay, Alibaba takes, I think, 10 companies a year to do these memorial signings with. If you have, their cloud services, what are they going to charge Vivi? Like 10 grand a month? They're not going to make Vivi one of those companies to do a memorial signing on for $100K a year. They're not doing that. It's not just their cloud service. I guarantee you it's going to be more. That is something I will, and could I be wrong? Sure. But I don't believe so. That's all I'll say about that.
Once again, top level alpha from the king of VV Alpha. Do know the crypto market is still near its bottoms. Still, good decisions in these next 6 months will likely lead to massive changes in your financial lives. I did create the Zero to Crypto here, of course, sharing the principles that I used to go from thousands to millions this last cycle. And we are at that point again in time where this is the perfect storm timing. So you might consider the course. It isn't free. It is massively expensive to those who don't take it, because you will make way bigger mistakes that will cost you hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars, because you're just newer and didn't understand these things. So it's not what the course costs, it's what it will save you. This wrap, it's for all of you to reinforce the principles that I share that make all the difference in higher returns. And then we'll talk offline.
Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Came into the space chasing all of the games, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, but time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this wrong could soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, say the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Amazing time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.